Welcome to the Gangcast, aka the Games and Not Games podcast. I'm Jan Garcia, and joining me, as always, is Isaiah Smith.
Hello, welcome.
And this is episode 1, so shout to that. This is we're making history.
We did it
today.
We finally reached it
in this studio. It's been a while since I've been on episode 1, but not as long as I would kind of hope that it would be, if I'm being honest. But because this is episode 1, I want to kick things off with a little bit of an intro to what the show is and who we are. So starting with what the show is, like I said at the top, this is the Gangcast. The Gang stands for Games and Not Games.
Yes.
And that is essentially what the show is. It is, the first half is going to be mostly video games, stuff like what we've been playing, if we have co-op experiences together, if we have like a general topic, we're often talking about, is old game old? Like we could talk about that,
Old game is definitely old.
Occasionally we'll dip into news, but honestly, we're trying to only do news if it speaks to us. But that's generally what that game segment is. And I say generally video games just because that kind of leaves space for if we want to like talk about board games, if we want to, play a game together. Like you love playing 20 questions, even though I never have the answers to the questions.
Yeah, I do.
So, we can do something like that. And then the second half is not games. And that is where we talk about anything else, general life stuff, movies, TV shows, debates, travel, food, anything else. In my notes app, I have like a million dumb topics for us to talk about and expand on. But Isaiah, what, if anything, did I miss, or what do you want to add about like what the show is before we get into who we are?
The only thing I would say is that we're shooting for weekly, right?
Yeah.
Weekly show. We'll probably end up recording.
The fear has like ran through my veins.
No, it's real, right? We're committing. Every week. I know sometimes
on a day to be determined.
yeah. The day might shift a little bit, but I think generally the idea is that we'll record on the weekend, hopefully edit on the weekend, upload on the weekend, and then have it ready for you every Monday or Tuesday.
I think we were thinking like Tuesday, because I think Tuesday, because then we have. I don't know. Monday's kind of nice because then people can be like for so many people, the podcast is the lifeline in the ocean of not liking your job, and it's like having the hit that Monday morning would feel kind of nice, but Tuesday does kind of give us that wiggle room. So I think it depends on how cowardly we choose to be. But if this ends up being Tuesday, strike what I said from the record. We just have that as a plan.
It was always planned to be Tuesday then.
Yeah, because I'm like Tuesday, then we can fail. But I'm like Monday is kind of nice too because it's like start of the week. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. My goal is going to be to peek behind the curtain right now. We're recording right now on a Saturday. My ideal plan is going to be to record it on Saturday, edit it on Saturday, upload it on Sunday, and then publish it on Monday.
Okay.
So don't hold me too accountable to that, but that's the plan. So every Monday, hopefully you guys have a new episode in your podcatchers.
Okay, sweet. All right. So as far as who we are, Isaiah, who are you?
I am Isaiah Smith. Been I'm not gonna say all over the country.
Just floating through space.
I've been coast to coast, right? I grew up, born and raised in the East Coast, Buffalo, New York. Home of the Bills and the Wings and pizza and all that great stuff. After college, went to college in Rochester, New York. RIT, go Tigers. After college, flew out to SF Bay Area to work at IGN for a few years, which is where we met originally. And then during the pandemic, we moved down to LA, and now we're here.
What'd you do at IGN?
Engineering. So yeah, by day I do engineering, software engineering, web development, however you want to kind of phrase it. I write code and make buttons appear on screens. So and I do a lot of that ideally for obviously my day job, but also I have various personal projects, some of which I'm sure we'll talk about here. I imagine I'll probably end up making some sort of little gimmicky tools and things for us to use for various segments over time. And one thing I want to do is sort of build like a way for us to do like sort of these like trivia-y game show things that we mentioned, maybe like a 21 questions like app or something that's just like useful for us and makes it easier for us to do things. So my goal is mostly just to try and use my skills for good.
Yeah.
I think is how I can.
In a world full of evil.
Yeah.
You dared. One man dared. What's the last line of code you wrote? Like, what did it do?
The last line of code I wrote is...
I have no idea what Isaiah's job really is.
Well, this is the feature flag stuff I was telling you about before.
Yes.
So at work, I'm trying to add feature flags to this new site app that I built for work. And really, I'm just like messing with gRPC stuff because that's kind of the infrastructure that our feature flags are built in. Is to make gRPC calls in order to get which features are on and off for a user. And I'm just really fussing with the I'm gonna go on a small tangent here.
Sure.
I guess some years ago there was a Node package for gRPC that I'm assuming Google made that used some like C++ modules underneath the hood with.
I know some of those words.
Yeah, with more recent
Google,
Node
C++,
versions,
I got it.
There's been a package to come out that is written totally in JavaScript, so it doesn't rely on any underlying C++ and this and that. And the two modules they share the same pattern, so you can like if you wrote code for one, it's pretty easy to use that same code for the other. But all the documentation is all still for the old, and if there are any like weird gotchas or differences between the two, you're kind of just in a trial and error state. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah. Are you down to say where you work?
Yeah. Right now, I'm working at Goat Group. Sorry, I mean to knock the mic. Working at Goat Group, which is like a sneaker fashion retail
Hype
a
beast.
reseller site. Think like eBay, but for like fashion and more generically high fashion. Like there's some wacky articles of clothing on that site that I don't get, but I vibe with, and the prices also I don't get, but I vibe with.
Yeah, it is like I feel like Goat. You either don't know what it is and never heard of it, or you like absolutely know what it is. It is like, and you know, I remember when you were like interviewing, I was like, oh, Goat. Like even though obviously like the company, like it's the idea of working for a place versus me. I like using the app because it's like where I go for. Well, it's where I'd like to go. Honestly, I still haven't bought anything on that app because I've wish listed a lot of things. I have a want list on there.
We have this relatively new thing called offers. You can make an offer for things, and if someone has it and they want to accept your offer, you get it. So.
I ain't got nothing to offer them. That's the thing. But I'm sitting, waiting, wishing. Was it Jack Johnson, right? That old Jack Johnson.
That's fair.
Wishing. All right. I'm Janet. It's interesting. Whenever I thought it was cool, you went like historical. I guess I'll go a little historical. I'm originally from Chicago.
This is episode 1.
Yeah, but I'm like such a hippie. I'm like. When people ask, like I'd say where I am, not like where I've been. So, but for a little bit of where I've been, I grew up in Chicago, lived there for like 20 something years. Took a break when I was in college because I went to school in Iowa. I went to a tiny liberal arts college, like super, super tiny, like less than 1,000 students on the entire campus. It's called Cornell College, but I think most people probably don't know what that is unless you went to Cornell College and you're like, oh, you're not that far. Yeah, I went there. Like you said, we met at IGN. I went to school for English and secondary education. So I did initially go for teaching high school English. Did that for a year. Always had a love of games. That's kind of what, I guess, brought me into my career now, which is games media. I consider myself a game critic and content creator. And my job is a freelance career that is made up of a bunch of different companies. So I work for MinMax. I work for Remap. I do a project with my peers called the Indie Council. And then I also do my own streams on like Twitch, YouTube, have my own site, pentapixels.com, that Isaiah coded and designed the entirety of so far. So yeah, that's what I do. So this is like very in my wheelhouse, like the idea of, sitting down and doing a podcast. And this is like tangentially in your wheelhouse because you've also like done content before.
Sure.
Like you...
Yeah.
Way back in the day, had a YouTube channel. Again, you have
man.
more.
Yeah, I forgot
the
about
YouTube,
that.
like I don't know if you even have the video still up or whatever. If you want people hunting for that, but you'll have like it's like because back in the day when the technology didn't exist, it's like a bad camera phone, and like you had a video that did like to me stupid views. It was like thousands and thousands of views. Like a small, like not viral, but it's not yet like a million views, but like
it was viral for me.
Yeah, and it was like viral for like a smaller creator. It was like probably like 100K plus of like how to use like your old headphones or something like that. It was like a little tutorial.
Yeah,
and it got like mad views, and I'm like, man, like you have like a talent for this. If you just like tap into it more, like it seems like you got the secret sauce.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully more of that comes back. You know? This is an opportunity, an outlet, if you will, for just being able to do more stuff like that.
Yeah, and really we kind of started doing this because we had talked about, I think, just like the idea of doing a podcast together. Like we play games together a bunch. We're engaged. We're together. Like I guess we didn't, explicitly say that, but so we live together. We've been living together for probably like at least 4-ish years.
I was gonna say 4 or 5.
Yeah, because we've been together for 5, and we moved in like before year 1, like partway through year 1, I think. So yeah, like we're always talking about like games and like, oh, we should do something together, but what would it be? Because one of the things that like I kind of allude to at the top, no offense to every other structure of shows, but like we really didn't want to do a more traditional like, oh, the week to week news, or like, there's so many angles to do it. You can do like news, you can do like platform specific content, and none of that was really too appealing to us. And then also I think in part, not to put words in your mouth, but I think you also were looking for an idea that felt different enough from the other content I did, because I do so much content on games. So
no, for sure.
And I think this is gonna be that. And I'm really excited for it. Like, I don't really get more freeform gaming conversations. So many of mine are like through the lens of a more structured thing. Sure. So the idea of this being, it's still gonna have structure, but the idea that it's like a little bit more open-ended is what's really exciting to me. But are you ready to get into our first segment, which is games?
Yeah, let's talk games.
All right, I'm so excited. Okay, so I have to like let out an exhale. Also, for those not watching the video version, I have on the back wall we have like a couple pegboards, and I put up a small squishmallow with a long silver wig to represent Sephiroth. Sephiroth. I was gonna wear the wig, but honestly, it kind of hurts my head, and also it's very tangled from the last time I wore it. So I'm like, let me just. Don't read into the fact that it's like a little cow. Like, it's nothing against Sephiroth. I just like had to pick a small plush. You started playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm playing it right now.
Okay.
To give context to where I'm at, I think about 10-ish hours in, 8 to 10. Still chapter 2, which is
still chapter 2. Okay.
This is a long chapter.
Okay.
We have. I have my chocobo. I've been going around doing like community board missions and things like that. I'm like around like level 21, just to give again a little bit more context. 21. I think last thing I did, which spoiler warning, I guess, if you're interested in playing Rebirth. I don't think we're gonna go.
I guess more of like an experiential spoiler, because there's really not too much. Most of the story where you're at in the game happens in that first chapter, but in case I don't want to know what kind of grass you're walking on.
Completely blind, sure. Spoiler warning. But for me, the last thing I just did was like fixed a like pipe that runs into Calm that the mayor wanted me to fix. And I got a couple thousand gil from that. That's pretty dope. I fixed a windmill. Yeah. There's like a broken windmill in the grasslands.
It's a freelancer story.
Very much so. Yeah. This is like a group of people going around just doing favors.
It's the gig economy and
like asking for money almost afterwards. You know what I mean? Like sometimes Cloud is like, I don't feel like doing this, and then someone's like, oh, but I'll pay you, and he's like, oh, fine. But most of the time it's like Aerith like, oh yeah, we'll help, and then at the end of it they like, oh, here's for your troubles, and it's like, okay, great.
Basically, like the economic structure of that crew of people is those scam like pedicabs they have in New York where they're like, we'll give you a ride and then they charge you like like $70 for going 7 minutes.
No, absolutely.
That's kind of like the operation that Cloud and his crew are running.
That's pretty accurate actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good. I think the last you saw me playing it yesterday some. And where I last was the mindset of like, okay, this is a solid game. I'm having fun. It's a little basic in that like, for some reason there's more horizon in this game than I expected there to be. And by that I mean like the grasslands just looks like the world of Horizon. a little bit, right? Like there's like this broken down, rusty buildings and machinery and pipes and stuff everywhere, which very much reminds me of Horizon. You go to these like tall tower things, and it even sends out like a little ping at the top of the radio tower that looks like when you're on a tall neck and everything. Yeah, no, it's solid. Like the I don't know if this is like fair to say, just the Ubisoftification of games is like very prevalent here so far. But it doesn't feel like a Ubisoft game or anything. Like
Which I feel like Ubisoft has to be punching the air about that, because you're not the only person that says that. Like, it's a very common refrain where it's like, oh, it's kind of like a Ubisoft game, but like it's better. But like, I'm sure they're mad though about like, right? Like I would be so mad if it's like, oh, but when they do it, oh, it's fun. Well, you know, and I think they get away with it being so basic because for me, like the combat is really good. I guess to also back up, like for where I am, and obviously I'm not gonna talk much. Like I'm not gonna spoil like what's ahead for Isaiah outside of like, if you have questions for me, like I'll answer them in terms of like what I think or whatever. But I'm at chapter 10. I don't know how many hours I should have checked before recording this, but I think it's got to be at least like, I feel like probably like 60 or something like that. Because I started putting my foot on the gas at a certain point. Because I was like, we need to get moving. But that's where I am. Number of chapter spoilers. There's
at least 10.
14 chapters in the game. I've been keeping track as I've gone down the list of stuff. But what would you say, like, so you're enjoying it. What do you like about the game?
Ooh, I like that it is to me, obviously it's subjective, but I'm going to say objective improvement on the first one. Like I think every gripe I really had about the first one, they seem to have addressed and fixed here, in that like, traversal around the world is easier and better. Like you can jump up and down from like little small ledges and cliffs and over fences, and you don't have to like spend 30 seconds running around. It's this open world now. It's not like these corridors that you just get confused in trying to follow the map around. The equipment stuff, right? Like, you know, you level up your weapon and you get more abilities, but your weapons all kind of, at least as far as I'm understanding the system, your weapons all level up like kind of together in a sense, where it's like there's your weapon level, and then with each new weapon level, your old weapons get new abilities as well as the one you're currently using. So you can like switch between them. Like, well, you can get the weapon. You
can get the weapon proficiency. Is that what you mean?
No. I mean like the
materia.
There's in the materia slot. There's the bottom one that's like your weapons ability, where it's like, oh, extra 10% to damage or magic damage or, you know, whatever. You unlock more of those for each weapon as your weapons level goes up.
Sure.
So it gives you like in the first game, I felt very much like, okay, I found this new weapon. There's literally no reason for me to ever go back to an old one because this new one is just better. But now it's like, oh no, if like the Buster Sword now gets this like ability that I think is really dope and really cool, and I want to play around with it, like I can go back to that because the Buster Sword got better, even though I was using, I don't know, the big toothpick or whatever next weapon.
I wish that was one of the weapons. Something that I don't know if you realize this, I'm not trying to, you know, Final Fantasy explain to you, but I never understood the weapon proficiency until this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I didn't know that, like, because that was my thing. I'm like, why would I keep using this? They're like, well, you want to unlock the weapon proficiency.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just beeline unlocking the proficiency.
I didn't know who was what. Like, I had no idea. And I played, like, a lot of that game.
Yeah.
I did almost all the side quests. Surprising. I had no idea. Because the reason I had no idea was because, one, I got to be honest, probably wasn't listening when they explained it.
Sure.
Two, I think I unlocked enough of them by accident that I never like noticed that I didn't have that, you know? Yeah. And there's so many abilities and like tools that, like, the thing I really like about Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth, like the combat is it is kind of like that Horizon thing, but like a little bit more complex, where what you need to do is very simple, where it's like scan him, he's weak to fire. Yeah. I'm going to set him on fire. Like, it's like no, you don't gotta think anything. It's like, okay, electricity. Like, it's very simple, almost like, you know, an old Pokemon game. But I think the abilities you have are just like really interesting. There's so many ways to play with it and ways to like have your party, which also brings me to like ask, like, who is in your party?
Ooh,
who's your, like, do you have mains? Or are you like trying to evenly swap them all out?
Cloud always there. Right now, Aerith is
Cloud
always
has
there.
To be there.
Does he?
Yeah.
Really? I think you can do a build without him.
I don't think
if you change
so.
your leader, I think you can just remove Cloud.
Oh gosh, now I don't know. I wish I looked at it. I don't.
Because like your party is always like.
I think you have to have Cloud.
Story wise, your party is always together.
Yeah.
But combat wise, I think you could choose whoever you want.
I guess I would leave Cloud in there anyway, but
yeah, I mean it's Cloud. Why wouldn't you? So Cloud is always there.
And Cloud fails me a lot. If we're gonna be honest, Cloud be going down. Like Cloud's not.
So I had to. One of the materia you get fairly early on, at least where I'm at, is like a autocast materia that you can put. You can link it to a magic materia, and then when you're not controlling this character, they'll be able to autocast that whenever the computer sees fit. One of the first things I did as soon as I got it was give Aerith that autocast and cure, because Cloud, man, this dude is like kind of squishy right now. Like I need to, I don't know, get some more HP up materia, level up some, do something, get some better gear or something. Yeah, so Cloud's a staple, Aerith's a staple, and then I generally swap out my third character for, I don't know, if I think I'm going to be fighting some birds, maybe I switch to Barrett just because he has the gun and he can hit things. If I think I'm going to be fighting someone who's like very aggressive, I might switch to Red 13 because his whole thing is like guarding and countering. And if I just want to be a glass cannon, then Tifa comes in and just punches people. I imagine there's going to be more characters you get to the party. No spoilers, but just based on the way that the game introduced the party system, they're like, and as your party grows, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So maybe we get some more people. Now, I didn't play the DLC for one, which I imagine, I forget her name. Yuffie. I imagine Yuffie shows up. I think the DLC was around Yuffie, and I imagine that she might show up in this game as well. In my head, that's what makes sense. There's also Zack, which he's on the cover. That's not a spoiler. I imagine Zack might show up at some point. Maybe he joins the party and is just like either a swap for Cloud or like a separate Cloud who's maybe a little bit more tactical or strategic or something.
Just Cloud with black hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same sword and everything.
Emo Cloud.
Right now that's my group. That's my party. I do want to. I try to swap around a little bit more, especially to master those abilities.
Yeah.
But honestly, I haven't found too many weapons, so I think Aerith and Cloud are the only people who have like a secondary weapon that I could switch to. So, not a real bonus there.
Yeah, my party is Cloud, Aerith, and usually it's like I'm farther in the game. So yeah, there's Barrett, sometimes Tifa, maybe others. Like I don't know. I don't want to talk. Like we'll get into it when you get further in the game about who I tend to have like on the other slot, but I never use red. I can't block. Like I loved doing the
like that's
no, I can't do it.
If you parry, that is better. But
not only can I not do it, I don't want to do it. Like I think I love that I'm gonna do the classic. I love that he exists, but but genuinely, he's not a bad character at all. Like I think it's really fun to have like that dynamic, but it's not my play style, and that's also what I like about the game. You can really just. I know some people think it's silly to have like Barrett and Aerith at the same time because they're both like kind of rangy characters, like they can cast from far away. I'm looking to be far away. I'm walking to the other side of the field. I'm like,
really,
yeah, and I play this game in slow motion, as you've kind of seen. Like I hold down the you can kind of hold down the bring the menu up and everything moves in slow motion, and I'm sitting there like I'm 92 years old, like. All right, attack. What kind of attacks do we have here? All right, we could. Okay, who's on the field?
As close to turn-based as you can. For you.
Yeah, it's very slowed down. I know some people I talk to other people about playing this game. People are like, "Oh, I'm doing the combos, the shortcuts so fast. It's like a fighting game for me." That's so funny. A slow grind for me. Like I'm, and I have like my little strategies of like, okay, I get in there. I don't do the auto cast because I don't like y'all casting for me. I feel like y'all don't know when to cast. So I'm like, I'm a cast. And I also do it so like slow paced that like I know you can like you can be Cloud and tell Aerith to cast. I change characters to be Aerith.
Really?
So I can like really feel like I'm doing
I'm
doing
the casting. Full control. Like,
I want full control. I don't even want to. Like, I'm micromanaging this team. Like, the only people I think and then I don't really put autocast on, like, when they're just AI, like, kind of shooting from afar, because I think that's just kind of, like, automated. There's some fun aspects, too, to this game. Like, I don't know if you've seen, like, the back line, happen yet, where it's like
yes.
I think like, one of your characters gets made down, and then like the back line can be used.
Come in and help or something like
that.
Yeah,
like there's like so many things you can do, and I really like that in a game where just playing it you can get through it pretty easily. But like if you want to kind of think and explore more strategy, I also really love that they have I'm not sure what they call it, but where it's like you have those duo combos that you can do.
The synergy.
Synergy stuff really adds like this game's really just about like filling meters and then like pressing a button, something cool happens. And it looks so good too. Are you playing on performance mode or quality mode? Do you know even? Maybe you don't know.
To be honest, I don't even know.
Normally I'm on performance for like the higher like frame rate, but I'm on quality for this game because I think at the lower frame rate it looks really like ugly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to me it looks ugly. You should toggle them and see what you think. But some people like they're like, no, I picked that frame rate because I'm going so fast. I'm like, this turn-based game for me, so I'd rather just look at the pretty world and you're with the fun birds and all of that.
Yeah.
Are you like 100%ing the areas? Are you looking at 100% the areas? What's the vibe there?
That's tough because going into it, my goal wasn't to 100%, but I feel like they drip feed you just enough things that it's like, oh well, I might as well 100%.
You're literally reading from my diary. You're literally reading from my diary.
All the towers and the little Mako rocks that you find, and the little summon spiritual stations and what. Like, there's like a whole bunch of like just little things. Again, it's the Ubisoftification. They give you these icons on the screen. It's like almost like a little checklist you can go through. I can sweep the map from left to right and I get everything that there is, and it's like, all right, cool. I got some cool stuff out of it now. And so far, I haven't found like anything that is like annoying or like mini game that's too hard or anything yet. I don't know. Sorry,
I'm laughing at something else.
Yeah, I saw you struggling with some of the Moogle things, and I'm sure that I did one of them so far, and I'm sure that's gonna be
the Moogle's not too bad. It's a little annoying. That's not the hard. Those are not hard.
Okay.
Don't expose me on this podcast. Like I did just fine. I did just fine on the movie. Well, also, how you feel about that song? Dun 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 dun. Kupo.
To be honest, I don't remember it. I more remember the like. Honestly, right now I'm blanking on all the music in the game. I do remember like the
main theme. The battle, the
winning,
victory.
And then if I'm on the like press start screen, I'm just like vibing to that song. I think it might be the same song.
I also like the you know what song I like low key? The when you're in the battle simulator and you're like I think waiting, like you're in the pause, that weird like you're on hold with like your insurance company music, or it's like like it's like I don't know, it's got like a weird like vibe to it. That is so I mean spoilers because not even spoilers, but just like what do I think about the game? I like the game. It is a very good game.
Okay.
Incredible combat.
Do you like it more or less than the first one?
That's so tough. I think I have to say I like it more because I do find it generally more enjoyable moment to moment. I think there's more like combat going on to me, it feels like, than in the first one. Like I feel like the first one, it is a lot of walking through those tight corridors. You're kind of like, I don't know. The first one, it's not like it's bad or anything, but I remember, I think it took me longer to get into the combat in the first one, and this one it feels like, okay, right away we get to fight a lot. Because that's what I like about the game. I know a lot of people, like, I love the characters in the story. Like, I don't really know these people. I met these people in the last game, and they're like, I felt like playing Final Fantasy VII Remake felt a lot like, you know when you watch an old sitcom and someone shows up to the screen and everyone's like, woo, I felt like all of society was like, you saw Aerith in the down the path and everyone's like, I love her, that's my best friend, oh my god, Aerith, and I'm like, I don't know this woman, and then they're like, she'll like pick up a cup of coffee and they're like, that's my girl, and I'm like, this is just a woman picking up a cup of coffee for me, like I don't know this woman. And I think now with Rebirth, I think they also do a lot of to me a better job like fleshing out the characters, where it feels like even Barrett, who and he still is very tropey, but like now that he's not spending every 2 seconds talking about the Earth, I'm like, oh, there's some intrigue to this character, and I'm liking that part more. So I do think I like it. I think I like the game more than Remake, but I think Remake is a more even experience. But if you jump into Remake cold, like you never played any of the other Final Fantasy games, you never played 7 before, you will be way more confused by the story. While this story, I'm not confused by it. But part of that is also that like the main plot does not move very quickly. Like again, if you played Chapter 1, which if you played the demo of this game, you played Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is essentially the demo. Maybe there's like a little bit extra, but like in the Chapter 1, but like the demo is basically the same difference. There's a lot of like story there where they do this big flashback and they talk, you get a lot of like extra lore on like who is Sephiroth and like what's driving his motives. And you really get to see that. While in Remake, again, if you don't already know who Sephiroth is, which I did not, you did not, it's like, okay, he's evil, I guess. But like, I don't really know. Oh, because of Kingdom Hearts, I guess, right? But did you play 7?
Final Fantasy 7 in general, like just the zeitgeist.
Oh, see, I don't know this man at all.
Really?
I don't know him at all. I know him from Kingdom Hearts because I played the first one.
Oh, that's fair.
I know what he looks like.
Yeah.
I'm pointing at this cow with his wig. I know what he looks like. I know that people say Sephiroth. I know that he's in Smash, right? Or he shows up as a trophy, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that he's the one-winged angel.
Yes.
And I know that's it. That's all I know. And like in the first game, they're like, oh, he's evil. Okay, why? Like he wants to destroy everything. Okay, and they're like, he's badass, and I'm like, all right, like and hey, like maybe that was
not wrong.
Maybe that was enough. But I feel like for me, it wasn't until Rebirth that I got to see like what's up with Sephiroth a little bit more in that first chapter. But after that first chapter of the game, the plot doesn't really move. Like, the pitch of the game narratively is we have to find Sephiroth and we got to stop him.
Yeah.
And as much as I am farther than you, like many hours, many chapters farther than you, there's not too much I could spoil if I tried. Like, I could maybe mention like this one person shows up and it seems like they're involved. I got question mark. Like, there's not really a lot for me to say. Like, I've met other people and I've gotten a lot of backstory. Like, I'll kind of just end it there because I don't want to spoil too much of like the other structure. Like,
sure.
I've gotten bits of story and I've had some cool story moments, but those story moments feel like side stories, even though they're in the main campaign. It's like, it'd be like if we, the game was about us and I'd be like, oh man, in chapter 4, I learned a little bit more about Isaiah's time in Buffalo, but that's not really moving the main plot forward. It's just like, it's part of the story.
Yeah.
It's part of the main campaign, but like,
yeah.
I'm still looking for Sephiroth. Like, I'm still just, and again, a few things have happened. I don't want to downplay some of I am getting some cooler narrative beats, but overall, I am still just looking for Sephiroth. We haven't gotten a crazy reveal of like Sephiroth's in another castle. Like, I don't know. Like, we're just looking for Sephiroth. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So like, I guess back to like what I think of the game. I do enjoy it, but it is very long, and it's funny seeing you be in this position where you're like, you're saying all the stuff I said. Like, you can, if people really want to, they can go to like MinMax's like quote unquote review of the game, and then like that's where I was talking about it initially on the internet, and I was like, yeah, this is like, it's kind of basic because the structure is basic, but it's really fun. And I'm really enjoying doing everything. I love doing everything.
It's fun to hit stuff.
I'm like, doing everything's finally fun again. And then like, for me, and I'm so excited to see, like, we'll check in with your experience. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do everything. It's fun to do everything. It's fun to do everything. And then suddenly it's almost like if I was driving a car, I started hydroplaning. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of control. I don't know what's going to happen. And yeah, I look up at the clock and it's like, we're 40 hours in. Nothing has happened in this game. And I love the combat, but the thing is, I don't feel like, well, maybe you're getting new characters or maybe new weapons and things. Like, I've had my fill at like, 40, 60 hours. And I'm like, oh man, but there's still a lot left. It's like, when you're really hungry and you're really enjoying your meal, but then you look down and it's like, it looks like I didn't even eat any of this.
Yeah. Well, no, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, let's be real. Right,
yeah, maybe not the right audience for but it's like, or if you're, you've ran before, like for exercise, like you're running and then you're like, man, how far? I feel pretty good, but how far in am I? And you're like only like in the first mile. And it's like a 5-mile run. And you're like, I'm cooked. I'm gassed. And that's how I feel about the game. And that's why like a lot of my modern conversation like today is going to be more in this like almost jaded attitude because I am so far in. But then I did it to myself. Like, people will say, well, you don't have to do everything. But I think the game is so good at like breadcrumbing you to do everything. Yeah. And it's so fun at first that it like becomes so addictive. And then, it really is like I just lost control of myself in this game where it's like, okay, well, if I just, if I try again, I might get a new orb of magic.
Yeah.
that could be good. And I'm at the point too where I'm like, I don't think I need the extra thing. Like, I think I can just kind of go, and that's what I'm working on now because I want the game to finish. But it's not because I think the game is bad. It's just like I've had my fill. But I'm not. I have to eat more.
Sure.
And I'm like, and now I feel sick, and that's where I'm at in the game. But maybe for you it'll be different. I don't know. Are you scared to play? Like, are you scared you're gonna become me? It's okay to say yes.
No. Because I also kind of hit this same wall with Yakuza, which I just beat before. Really,
like a Dragon, right?
That was kind of the Yakuza Like a Dragon was the game I beat pretty much before jumping into this. We played a little bit of Overcooked, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But the beginning of Yakuza was very much the beginning of this, where it's like, this world is new, these characters are great, I'm interested, I want to see everything. Oh my god, there's all these mini games, there's these collectibles, I'm picking up money and trash and turning it, and then all that jazz, right? And then it's like, I don't know, after like 40 hours of that, it's like, man, I'm picking up more trash. Like, oh, all right, I guess I got this cool new baton that is different. But after a while, it was just like, all right, I just want to kind of get this over with. I'm having fun. I'm still enjoying it. I think it's still good, but I just kind of want to see the end of it so that I can move on. And again, not in a like it overstayed its welcome kind of way, just more in a like, I've had my fill. Like you said, I'm full. I've eaten all the food that I really care and want to eat, but there's still more food in front of me that I need to eat in order to like step away from the table. And it's like, all right, well, I guess I'll just muscle through this food here.
See, for me with Like a Dragon, and that's more of a unique play experience for me because I streamed it, so I did it like every week, so I kind of forced myself to like piecemeal it a little bit. I did do a couple like long weeks because I'm like, hey, the game is so long and I don't want to play this for like the next 2 years.
Sure.
So let me speed it up. But I still did so much of everything, and like for me, Like a Dragon, other than the what is it called? The business mini game, because I didn't understand it, and I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Business mini game.
Other than that, I liked every part of the game, and I felt like everything was different. Like, meeting like Onomichi, and like what a fun little quest. And I think my beef with like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is there's not as much like of that kind of fun. Mm-hmm. It is a lot of just like, and now another tower, another. Sure. Moogle house, another thing, another like bad mini game. Well, speaking of mini games, have you played Queen's Blood yet?
Everyone I've come across that I could play in Queen's Blood, I have, and I beat them.
Okay.
There's like one game where I lost, and it was just like I just don't understand.
That's not canon, so don't worry about it.
Exactly. I'm liking it. It's cool. I still want to do like a ranking the in-game games,
the card games,
just to like see where like who really is top dog here.
Do you think it's how do you feel about it, like having heard a lot about it going in? Is it a little overrated? Did you feel like, oh yeah, now this is like fire? Is it too soon to say?
So far it seems very simple. Like, I don't know, effective strategy for me is just like rush to the right and then like lock your opponent in, and then once you've locked him in, then all right, you just fill up the rest of your spots that you have to the left. I'm curious to see what other cards and other mechanics come into play, because I imagine that strategy will only get you so far. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
Rushing the board is always a good strategy. Honestly, even like further in.
There's that other mini game that I haven't seen it yet in my playthrough, but I know you have it in yours, where you're like these like toy soldiers and you're sending them down lanes and stuff like that. I didn't
end up liking that one, and I'll admit I think I'm just bad at it. Like, I just gotta charge to the game.
Confusing. I'm not gonna lie.
I did a lot of them for like the first time it's introduced, which I don't even know if it's in your area or not. And then I was like, all right. Then they were like, okay, another hard level unlocks. I'm like, that was the first time I had walked away from something in Final Fantasy, and it was not the last. I think the last thing I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts on Chadley?
So
Chadley's back, and he's more present than ever.
I'm not a Chadley hater. I know present company.
I hate Chadley. As people in the area know, I hate this little man.
I don't find Chadley that annoying. I can see
you just skip over all his
dialogue. Well, that's just how I read dialogue. When I read it, I just skip to the next page. I do that for everyone: Cloud, Barrett, Chadley, everyone. It's more that like, I'm there to get what Chadley's giving me, right? Like, I'm coming to Chadley because I want the goods. I want the new upgrade, the materia, the fight, whatever it is. And if I just chat with Chadley to get to it. You know what I mean? It's not I don't have a hate for Chadley, but I also don't, enjoy talking to him either, right? There are other characters who I just find more enjoyable on screen when they're talking, getting information from him. Chadley's not one of them.
Okay. Are you a Chadley apologist though?
I'm not. No.
So you're Chadley neutral.
I'm Chadley neutral. Yeah, I'm Chad Newt. Just Chad neutral.
All right, that seems like a good spot to be at. Do you want to do Overcooked or do you want to save it for a different week?
I think we can talk a little bit Overcooked.
Talk about Overcooked? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Overcooked All You Can Eat. We platinumed this recently. Well, really, you platinumed it because I joined you. I helped you platinum it. But I had already gotten my platinum. This is the third platinum I've been involved in for Overcooked. I'm getting excited just saying the word Overcooked. Oh my god! Remember when games were good? Overcooked All You Can Eat. Yeah. Oh my gosh! This is one of my favorite games of all time. Honestly, in terms of just enjoyment, it's not like one of the best games of all time, but it is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
It's up there with
the time you have playing it
with the Jack and Daxters and the Horizons. Like it's right there.
Yeah.
The Onion King.
Do you think that's because of who you've played Overcooked with?
No.
Okay. So
I mean, I think a worse team could have maybe messed up my experience, but it's not like just the emotion of like, friends and family. I think it's so. I love that game. Like I love just. I like strategizing and executing on a plan.
Okay. All right.
And throwing food and making food, making little sandwiches, like fucking planning my little sandwich shop. Yeah, and then we sit together and we look at it and I've been lucky in that I've played with people that want to do like the strategy element because I don't think I'd like it as much if we just like winged it. But sitting there and being like, okay, what are we making? We're making burgers. Okay, where's the meat station? Okay, well then let's put this. Like I live for that. But when I played through Overcooked before, I wasn't playing with you, and I had played with you a little bit because I needed some of the 4-player like trophies or whatever, and that's why you jumped in. But you weren't really like into it. Is that fair? Like, what's been your history with Overcooked, and what has maybe changed?
In general, I don't enjoy. I dub these like wacky games. So there's like this. There's like Ember. I think Gang Beasts. These like. Moving out, all of these like kind of like wacky, not necessarily physics based, but slippery, mechanic-y kind of like social party games kind of thing. I generally don't enjoy them just because I think the cohesion and the like togetherness you need to have with everyone involved, like to me almost ruins the game. In that like unless if everyone's not on the ball, then like you're failing, and it's like, oh well. That sucks because now it's like, oh, this one person is quote dragging everyone down or something. Yeah, like it just doesn't make me feel good. That said, I think our experience with Overcooked was really great because it was just one other person that you had to coordinate with. There were levels where I was weaker and you would just like pick up the slack. There were levels where you were weaker and I would pick up the slack, or neither of us were weaker and we were just together fighting the level kind of thing. Like those are to me the best moments in games. Like a co-op party multiplayer game is when like you come together to overcome the challenge of the game. And I feel like a lot of Overcooked is doing that. It's not, someone's so good, the other person's bad. It's just like, yo, this is the situation we were dropped in. How are we going to tackle it? So
what made you want to pick it up again? Because to set the scene for people, I was living my life. I'm in this apartment with Isaiah. We live here together.
Yep.
I'm walking around. Usually, obviously, since we live together, he'll just talk to me in real life, but sometimes he'll still text me. And he sent me a text and said, I forget exactly what, I wish I had pulled up the text message. It was something like, are you down to play some Overcooked? Yep. And I was in the bathroom at the time that I saw the text, and I read it, and I didn't respond right away to you, but when I came out of the bathroom, I set up like the PS5. That's where I have the game, and I download the game because I don't think it was downloaded yet. Like I had deleted it since platinuming it, and I had it already, and I was just kind of like, oh, sort of the Mr. Ratburn from Arthur, where he's like, cake? I guess I'll have some. Like I really had, and I was thinking like, let me not be too excited. I don't want to scare you away. Let me just be like, yeah, I'll play some Overcooked, sure. But what made you want to even play again? Because I thought I was never even going to ask you, and I platinumed it already anyway. So it's like, hey, the game's the game's done. It's over for Bozo. It's done.
Yeah. I think, to be honest with you, I think it was that I was probably just scrolling TikTok and I saw some couple or some people playing it. They were, maybe one's yelling at the group and this and that. And then I think like a couple swipes later, I got like another TikTok of like a couple playing it, or it was like showing up in someone's like, oh, here's like 3 games you can play with
when
your
you sleep. I
significant
whisper
other.
like overcooked into your phone.
Yeah, well, I mean, it worked because it was a moment where like my For You page just had like Overcooked content.
Yeah,
and I was like, this does look kind of fun. It looks cool. I think me and Janet could do this. Let's, let me hit up Janet and be like, hey, let's give Overcooked a shot. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it, but let's give it a shot. Let's see what's there. You know what I mean? I can't. Another thing I'm trying to do, but like get better at, is not knocking it until I try it. And I don't ever feel like I gave Overcooked specifically a good shot. I've tried Moving Out again. I tried the Ember. I didn't
like Moving Out either.
I've tried some of those. I've given those shots and I did not like it. But Overcooked, I feel like, is the OG. It's the one that like all the others are like shooting to dethrone as like the king of this kind of game. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. And it turns out that I really liked it. So yeah, maybe my opinions have changed.
An open mind and an open heart.
It's crazy. It's crazy what happens
when you. Yeah, there's a Disney song somewhere about that. For me, like, this is the only like funky physics game that I really like. I mean, there's, in terms of funky physics where you go really broad, like, back in the day I played like Clomp and stuff. Like, what's with like Quap, and then the other, Quap, and also the one that was with
Getting
a horse.
Over it? Oh.
Which is called like Clomp or something.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Like Clomp, horse, Quap. I'm gonna try to Google it. It was literally just like, maybe it's not called. I think it is called Clop, but it's literally Quap, but you're a horse.
Okay.
That's all you gotta know. It's like you got horse legs. That's it.
Fair.
And those are fun, but I feel like those are such in the extreme for the physics. These ones that try to like ride the line, I feel like the only one that I've personally enjoyed is like Overcooked, because maybe I should give Octodad or something another try, but like I've never been interested in it. Like I've never, I don't know, found them funny or interesting. Like this is not for me. But Overcooked really works for me because I think it's not as slippery as those, because I feel like the goof and the gaff about Overcooked is trying to execute and Moving Out. You're technically doing that too, because you're like moving the furniture out, but something about that task, it's like not that high level of a task. It's like, okay, carry something. It's
the like urgency of it that like gives
like you're kind of just like I'm just carrying a sofa, and I don't know, maybe it didn't grab me the way Overcooked had, but it was super fun playing. And then again, because I'm trying not to scare you off, so I really had to be like, I went into it and I'm like, and this was still genuine, but I did have that dream of like, I want to 3-star them. Like, I think it's more fun when you go for the 3-star, but I didn't want to alienate you. So I was like, hey, if you just want to beat the level, it's okay. But in my mind, I was like, this is like when you like show someone your favorite movie and you're in your head, you're like, please don't say it sucks. Please don't say it sucks. Oh my God. And I'm glad to say that we did. I think we 3-starred almost everything, if not everything.
Yeah. There might've been like 1, maybe 2 levels that we like played and didn't 3-star. So, most of them, and I think we were together in that, like, we would try enough times, but be willing to put it down, go to another level, and then come back to it later if needed. Like, there were moments where it's like, we're just not getting in this right now. We can keep changing strategy. Let's get up. Let's take a bathroom break or something, come back, and then boom, we get it that next time. So, man, the game's good. Game's good. It rides that line of challenge to frustration really, really well. That razor sharp line, it's sitting there. It's living there of like, you can do one thing wrong. And the other thing I like about the game is very rarely does the game feel like bullshit. Like, it usually when you fail, it feels like, oh, I'm rushing it, or like, oh, I'm dropping the ball in like how I'm placing the plates or doing this, or oh, that was a bad throw, or like very rarely is it like oh, that wasn't enough time to run across the bridge before it fell. It's like, no, they give you ample time. It's just you get greedy. You got to fight that greediness. So I don't know. Good game. I'm glad I gave it a shot. Had a really good time. How is it for you, like, having now played it? Like, is it just as fun this third platinum that it was the first 2.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that makes it slightly less fun is that there is no more like novelty. Like I'm not seeing any new content, but also I didn't memorize the content either. So there are some like where I'm like, oh yeah, like this one worked. But you know, a lot of times when we go into a level, I was like, I think this one slides over. Like if people aren't as familiar with like the actual gameplay of Overcooked, you have orders, you're making food, it'll tell you the recipe at the top. The recipes are fairly simplistic. The most complicated recipe will include maybe like 4 ingredients. Like, buns, burger, cheese, lettuce, tomato, maybe 5. You know, that's like the most complicated thing in terms of items. And then all of them have different like preparation elements. Like maybe for pizza, you have to like cut the dough and then like cut the tomato and put it on there and then put it in an oven. Or like, for like a cake, you have to mix the batter first and then put that in the oven. And like, you can overcook the items. So it's like, like you could mix for too long and the thing like the blender goes crazy or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's basically the construction of the game. And then the added layer that makes it like difficult is all of the levels have some type of dynamicism to them or dynamics. Like, you might be, this is an ice level. So like the floor is ice. Ooh, it's all slippery. Or like this is a level where you're on conveyor belts and you can only like pass things by like putting it on the conveyor belt to like the other person. So that's basically what the shtick of the level is. So for me, I would know a lot of these where I'm like, okay, I think this one's this, and then I'd see it already. So it lacks a surprise of like, that's what a novel thing that I haven't seen. Other than that, completely just as enjoyable because the variable is who you're with and also like what your ability is at that moment. It's kind of like how, and I guess I'd have to play a lot to maybe get sick of it, but like if you learn how to play a song on an instrument and then you play it again, it's like, still cool to play.
Yeah.
Still like maybe it's a little easier because like aspects of it or like the tough parts. And then also too, like I don't memorize the strategies I employed either. Like there's sometimes I did, remember, what I tried before that worked, or like I remember this being the hurdle, like the and then also just going back and forth on stuff like with the burritos where it's like, okay, well, like, should we have the tortilla? Like, do we have the tortilla? The tortilla. Do we have like the tortilla? Like, are you just carrying the tortilla? But then what we do with the plates and then where the plates respawn and like having to kind of do that on the fly. And yeah, it was still very fun. Now the question is, are you interested in pursuing the 4-star?
Honestly, I'm gonna say no.
No.
I think some of the levels would be a really good challenge for 4-star, but I think the vast majority of them would just be so challenging.
Step into the web.
That it's no longer fun.
Oh, but when Miyazaki does it, it's all fair game. But when you got to do 4 stars on the hot dog ice level,
that doesn't sound that no longer sounds fun. I feel like what we experienced, that snapshot of life was so good. I don't want to taint it with the idea of frustration. You know what I mean? Like it's like then I feel like we would be fighting the game, and I don't want to feel like the game because like there are also levels that we played where we were in sync. Like it was one brain between us, and we were like in motion. You need something, it'd be right there for you. I need something, you got it, cool. And we still did not get what would be required for the 4 stars. And the thought of having to be better than perfect is daunting.
I mean,
if we have like a third person, right? Maybe I don't know. Eddie comes over and he's really on the ball. Maybe then we can get like these 4. I think for just 2 people, the 4 stars would be too much.
I also have to check. I don't remember if like it changes based on the number of players you have.
I have to imagine it doesn't scale linearly. Like I think the more people you have, the less point requirement would be, just because that's more people in the way. Like the challenge.
I don't know. I thought it would scale the opposite direction.
I don't know.
But I have no idea. We've never actually tried or looked at it.
Well, I think it's harder to have more people. And I imagine that they would scale the game that way. But I don't know. We can see.
Yeah.
We'll just sync up a 4th fake controller.
If that's fair. But I'm of the mind, and I'm not gonna make you. It is you got your life. That we should at least like try it, because I think there are some that we could do, and then we could see. I get that you don't want to try it, so I don't want to ruin what we have.
Also, we already got the platinum. I got the platinum. I got what I wanted.
And that's kind of to me like why I know I really love this game. Like the platinum's fun.
Play it, yeah.
I just want and I like that they give you like an excuse to play it. Like it's cool that they have that 4th star where it's like, we can have more content. Yeah. Now, if you want to do the 4 star, it's fine. Are you interested in finishing the DLC? Because you don't have to actually 100% the game to.
Oh yeah, there's like
maybe we could do like a stream for
I don't know, a dozen or something. Like episodes.
Yeah, they
I don't
got
know what
like
you call them, but like
they're like
little campaigns.
Yeah, they're like mini campaigns. Like the DLCs are things like they have like the summertime, and then it's like they have like the campgrounds one and all of that.
Yeah. I'd be down to it. I'd be down to try it at least, right? Yeah. I'm not gonna commit to definitely doing it. I definitely don't even know if I would commit to like 3-starring necessarily everything.
Sure.
But if it was more like what the regular campaign time was, where it's just like, hey, like let's try it. Oh, I think we could do it. Let's try a couple more times, really figure it out. Yeah, I'd totally be down for that. Okay. Plus, I think there's some cool like recipe levels, right?
Where so cool.
I know there's like the fruit blender one where it's like you gotta throw the fruit back and forth.
We got the s'mores.
Oh man, the s'mores are really challenging because you have to like get the wood.
You gotta get the wood and then put the wood on the thing to get the fire going. I love the ramen. The ramen was so fun. Where it's like you have that big pot.
Oh
and you
and
move
you gotta
move it. It's like you have like basically like a wok. That you'd like slide onto like the flames and stuff.
So good.
That was really good. I love the sound design, the feel of like putting the ketchup on the hot dogs. Because you had like a big button. I think that's the other thing too. Like there was a fun like comedy layer to it, just in that it is the art is cartoony and it has like cartoony things. Like I can hit a button and switch from like mustard to ketchup, and then and it's like I enjoy the dialogue of like, okay, like if it it's like we have the bear at home, it's like all right, I need mustard sir, it's like the back and forth.
Yes, chef.
Yes.
No chef.
Yeah.
We really did adopt a like chef sous chef like mentality too towards the like back half of that game.
And it's a good time. So I think the last thing I want to ask you about Overcooked is the fabled and dreamed of Overcooked 3. There's Overcooked 1, there's Overcooked 2. And Overcooked All You Can Eat, for those who don't know, is a like basically like a deluxe edition where if you buy Overcooked All You Can Eat, you get Overcooked 1, Overcooked 2, and all the DLC. That was unique to this modern console generation. Like it was, I'm not sure if it's on Xbox and stuff too. I remember when it came to PS5 and I was like, oh great, I can get them all together and then redo it, which is funny because I was already pursuing it on the Switch and I'm like, well now let's start over with this PS5 version and that's why I did the platinums and all that. But I don't know if they're ever going to do an Overcooked 3, but if they did, what would you want from Overcooked 3? Overcooked 2 introduced throwing.
Yeah. I think to distill it down to one mechanic would be dynamic delivery. And by that, I mean, maybe you have like the regular delivery. Oh, like you deliver this, like there's that little delivery spot. But then maybe there's also like a pickup window or something where like, oh, instead of plating it, you need to put it in like styrofoam packaging and then deliver it there. Or like you're in a restaurant where you need to run it out. Like someone needs to be like almost like a server and like run it out, refill waters. Like run it out, refill waters, take the dirty plates back to the kitchen. Like, almost do like a little bit more what's like one
what's on the
step
other side of the
above.
restaurant.
Yeah. Like what's like this back of house, what does front of house look like? You know what I mean?
Over the front of house DLC.
Yeah, I mean that'd be kind of cool.
I like that. I especially like the, oh my god, you know what level I loved? The I forgot what they called it. I think they called it like kind of like summer or carnival food or whatever, but the fast food one where you had the trays.
Yeah. That was really cool.
I don't know if it was 2 or 1's DLC because the DLC is kind of all bundled together. That was so good. And that kind of had some bit of that. The onion rings. I'm getting hungry just talking about it. Like, it's so good. The food looks good too in that game.
That's the other thing. That game makes you hungry.
The food be looking scrumptious. I think, I forget if there's like a mechanic I have in mind for Overcooked 3, but what I want is more, just like more food types. I think too, leaning into like, honestly, I think a fun ideological layout for Overcooked 3 would be Overcooked like 3 around the world. And we go to different like countries or continents or what have you, and like we have cuisines from different cultures, which they kind of like have a layer of that. Like they have different cultures, foods, especially the DLC. But I do think a lot of that is relegated to the DLC. I think a lot of the campaign is fairly American, I also had the idea of having like Overcooked like catering, where we're like doing like catering work where we have to like all work on making like a really big like a wedding cake or something like that, and it's
that'd be cool.
Oh, we need like 80 eggs or something. I don't know. I think that would be fun. Throwing is pretty nice. I wonder, what other things do you do And like, I feel like you don't really be throwing food in a restaurant though. Like to be real, that's kind of a video game thing. Maybe like you can slide stuff down. Like I don't know. Maybe throwing is the best thing they had.
I'll take that. That's almost
throwing
like
is nice, but to be honest, I didn't throw very often.
Yeah, no,
it was too risky for me.
Yeah.
That's why we need to get the 4 stars to start throwing, and I don't really want to. Yeah, but every day I dream of Overcooked 3.
If they did an Overcooked 3, would you want the like gameplay to be the same, where it's like a open world, 1-1, 1-2, 1-2? Would you want it more arcadey? Like what would you want the same kind of progression? You're in your little car, you're scooting around.
I think I'm down for that progression. I'm very used to it. It also feels very in line with like how Cat Quest is, where it also has like that overworld map. Like I think the overworld map is cute. I think something they could do to make the overworld map a little more fun, I've seen other games do this, is where when you traverse it, there's like side stuff you can do, like almost mini quests or like items you can pick up.
Well, they had the Kevin levels.
They do, but also I don't like the way the Kevin levels unlock. They're like really random, and you have to like Google it. Like it's really confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want better bosses. I do feel like the bosses are like not that interesting. It's kind of anticlimactic.
It was very much just like another level,
but almost like worse because it just felt like just get through it. Like I mean, they still score you, but it's just kind of like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like I wasn't that into the bosses, and then when it ends, it just feels like it's
done.
The
ending is terrible. It just cuts to credits. Like it's so bad.
Yeah, like I think they need to. I would see improvements made in that, but I'm not really sure like what I would want from that. But that's where I'm at with Overcooked 3. So hopefully one day. That's something I would pop for. People always ask, like, what would you pop for? Like a show?
Yeah.
Overcooked 3.
Yeah.
Overcooked 3.
You hear that little violin? Yeah.
The Onion King shows up.
Oh my God, that's it. This is it.
It's the Onion King.
You hear a little Kevin bark?
Yeah. Bark. That'd be really good. And they'd come up with something cool. I don't know what they'd come up with, but.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like it. Hey everybody, this is Solo Isaiah here in the middle of our break doing just a quick little chat with you guys. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this first episode. Really appreciate it, really love it. If you can, please, let us know where we can improve. Let us know things you want to see from us. We have some ideas that we're floating around to give you a little sneak peek. I floated these ideas over to Janet, and she didn't shoot them down immediately, so there's a good chance that we can maybe do them. We got like listening and watch parties, right? I know we both enjoy music, and one of the things that we always enjoy doing is just like talking about albums when they come out. So we thought, it could be kind of cool to involve the community in that, or like movies. I know we recently watched The Mask. Janet watched The Mask for the first time.
The Matrix finally.
We're also gonna watch it. The Matrix would, I think, be a great.
Maybe this is where we finally do it, because
first watch along.
No one wants to pick up this content. I've been offering it to play in places.
Yeah, we have it now for ourselves. So, if you like those, let us know. Hit us up on socials or in the inbox, and let us know what you'd want to see.
All right, moving on to our not game section. We went to Anime Expo for the first time.
Yes.
I should have put our badges on the wall.
Oh, that would have been fun.
That would have been good. I don't know where the badge is at, honestly.
Yeah,
it's somewhere in a bag. But Anime Expo, it is an expo that happens here in Los Angeles. It's a 4-day event. Happens in the Los Angeles Convention Center, which is, I would say, downtown. Is that safe to say?
I think you'd call that downtown LA.
It's right next to, what's the name of that stadium where the Lakers play?
Crypto. The Crypto.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Staples.
It's next to Crypto. The Crypt.
Crypto.com arena.
Tales from the Crypt. We can make it cool. We don't have to talk about the fact that it's a crypto stadium. But okay. Anime Expo. We got the opportunity to go because through my job MinMax, my boss / colleague Ben hit me up and was like, "Hey, would you want to go? Like, you live in LA?" And I'm like, "Sure. Like, I'll go if I can get like 2 badges where it's like I can get credentialed and Isaiah can get credentialed, and we can attend together because it's just easier that way. But also because Isaiah is really like the anime person. Like I was going as like an outsider. I'm kind of like I kind of almost feel like bad going in a way. I'm like I shouldn't even be here. Like
Like, why are you here? You're a normie. Get out of here.
I'm very much a normie. So I guess before we talk about going and how that was or whatever. So like I had floated the idea to you. Like, would you be interested? And you said yes. Mm-hmm. Let's go over our anime background. I guess I'll start as the resident normie.
Go for it. I can't wait to hear this.
Grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. Started watching Dragon Ball Z one day because I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was coloring at the time, and Edwin was watching Dragon Ball Z. My brother Edwin, he's 6 years older than me, and this was a regular occurrence. He would go watch Dragon Ball Z and I would do my own thing. We hung out all the time as kids, but like I'm like, oh, this is your thing, and I'm gonna do my thing. And then one day I'm like, what if I walked over there? Let's see what's going on over there. And it was like open concept is a little dramatic. It was like the 90s 2000s of when we grew up in that house, but like our kitchen was very like much a room in our old house, but then it was like dining table and then like no wall, nothing, and then like the living room. So it was kind of like open concept for the living room to the TV room, the living room or whatever, or the dining room. So I just walked over there and then I started watching and I was like, oh, this is really good. I started watching. I don't know if this is the first season I watched. My brother would probably remember more than me, but I kind of came in, I think, during the Frieza saga, which was like one of the best times to come in. Like Frieza and Cell were like the heights for me personally. But again, this is like childhood content. I do think when you go back and watch Dragon Ball Z as an adult, more of the weaknesses shine through. As a kid, you don't really have as refined of a feeling for like filler. You don't really process filler the same way as a kid. You're just like, yeah, cool fighting and like stuff happens and all that. So I enjoyed Dragon Ball Z. Watched some Dragon Ball at some point as well, and I did watch a bit of Sailor Moon as a kid as well. And I love Sailor Moon like aesthetically. As an adult, I don't really like I'm not like back into the weeds in the modern era or like digging into stuff. And
although we did pick up that Sailor Moon,
we did watch a couple episodes, and it was wild times. And it was fun, and I kind of want to go back and like watch more of it. And then other than that, I watched a little bit of Soul Eater in high school, and I liked it, but someone told me that the ending sucks, and that discouraged me from finishing it.
Oh, you can't let that happen.
Because apparently all endings suck in anime. That's what I heard. Is that true?
I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes or no. What I'm going to say is that it is like many things, like Game of Thrones or like anything else that was generally held good, and then people don't feel as high on the ending. It's sometimes just hard to end stories.
It's really hard to end things.
Like that's why Breaking Bad is so like acclaimed. It's because it's like they nailed the ending. They made an ending that felt fitting and was just as good as the rest of the series.
Sopranos also has a good ending.
I heard Sopranos also has a really good ending. It's like
Cheers also has a good ending.
Oh yeah, they like leave the bar or something like that.
Okay, why are you spoiling Cheers? Malcolm in the Middle, I think, also has a good ending. We're still working our way through Malcolm in the Middle, but
all right, sure.
There's a couple, but it's rare. It's hard. Like more often than not, we think of a bad, like Seinfeld, How I Met Your Mother, like many other things that.
Look, for every one of those, you get a How I Met Your Mother. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
It's like really, is this how you end it?
Societally, we know it. We still haven't recovered from How I Met Your Mother. But yeah, so that was kind of like I just kind of fell off there, and then I watched the first like 1 or maybe 2 seasons of Attack on Titan, and then I just like stopped. But I did get a little bit bogged down by they had one season where they got like really heavy into like the politics within the city, and I was kind of just like,
I can't do this.
I'm trying to see people fight. I'm trying to see some Titans.
Yeah.
Why are we seeing this like document that's gonna mean something?
I mean, I'm down to rewatch that.
I do want to rewatch it.
I haven't watched the final season,
and also now it's done, so it's like we could rewatch it and finish it. Yeah, I will say, Attack on Titan does. I mean, he got better over some time, but it does have the plight of the whiny protagonist. It's Eren, right? That's his name.
Yep.
Eren Yeager. Yeah, I didn't like that man, but Mikasa's there, so I'm rolling with Mikasa, and Eren's just here.
Armin's dope. You can't forget about Armin.
Yeah, Armin's cool.
He's cool.
And then also when he did that thing with his like what the name called the gear? Again?
Oh, the ODM? No.
It's OD something.
ODS? Something.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to maybe do a quick Google of it, but when he got it to work when his stuff was broken, that was super badass. So, and I think that's basically all my history with anime. I might be missing like a few
ODM.
Okay, I might be missing a few little like one-off things here and there, but for the most part, I watched some Death Note too at some point.
Did you watched the whole thing, right? It's only like 21 episodes or 22
I don't know
episodes.
if I did.
If not, we should.
I don't think I watched the whole thing because I feel like nothing really happened.
Fair.
You know what I mean? Like I don't remember there being like, and then like the book was thrown in a river. Like I don't remember anything happen. Like I think I maybe only watched like a little bit of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you down to watch? Because that's one of my favorite ones, in that it's like short and sweet, and it's like very easy to get, while still kind of giving you that like mind drama towards like the latter half of it. So if you're interested,
tentatively yes, because I did like I remember liking what I watched of it. I just don't think I finished it.
Okay.
I have a hard time finishing things. I don't like investing time in like watching a lot of TV. I think because I play so many games, I'm like, I don't want to have to have another thing on the calendar. Like I have like a hang up about that to a degree. I guess movies can be that for me too sometimes. I'm trying to get better at both of those because I want to just like check out more stuff. But that's my like I have a very thin history with anime, and I am interested in that what is it called? The like dungeon. Oh,
Delicious Dungeon?
Delicious Dungeon piques my interest because maybe it's like the Overcooked in me, but it's like, I don't know, food. People said it's good. That seems fun.
You just gotta like bring anything into food, and then you're like, you know what, this fandom's
and
not too
I know
bad.
there's like many different styles of anime, like slice of life and all that, but like I just haven't really invested a lot of time in it. Obviously I make my jokes here and there about like the many anime tropes that seem to be the plight of your community. But
I think there's a couple. You asked me before, is there an anime that I would recommend you watch? And I think I have a short list of like a couple that I think would be really dope.
The Spy Family.
I think you would love Spy Family.
Spy
I would be. I
don't know what the name of that song actually goes. Spy Family.
It is not Cat Funeral theme. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I think you like Spy Family. I think you'd like Frieren. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. Frieren. I think it's Frieren.
I thought it was Frieren.
I don't know.
I only read it, so
like I think you could get down with the like slice of life adventure-y kind of ones. Slime is another one that I think I have to imagine you would like it because it's so good. Like it's not even there's nothing about it that I'm like, oh yeah, Janet would like this. I think it's just so good. It's like a top 5 anime to me that I think anyone who watches it would like it.
Sweet. I think too, like some of my hesitancies are length of the anime, how cheesy it might get with like the writing, which I know some of that could be like translation stuff where it's like, because I am also like I prefer, what's the one where it's like it's English spoken? Is that dub?
Dub.
Yeah. I'm a dub person because I don't want to have to like stare at the screen intently. Like I'm not necessarily on my phone, but it's just like the fact that it's like I have to just like look, like that's kind of
You're watching it. What do you mean?
Yeah, but like I feel like if I blink, I might miss a whole thing.
You still can't be on your phone. That's you can't be on Twitter.
I can live with that, but I kind of I want to be able to like eat and like just you know what I mean? Because I feel like I have to just be like locked in. And then also the sometimes creepy age tropes and stuff that creeps me out.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's all anime. I'm just saying like when it comes to the things that your community complains about, well, like the not weird part of your community complains about, those are the things that have made me be like, seems like something that I can take my time getting to, you know?
No, that's fair. That's fair.
And hey, again, I get it. I mean, I'm playing Persona 5 and that's got some issues.
Yeah, it's got the creepy old man fawning over the weird.
It's not even that because
12-year-old, 1,000-year-old woman or something like that.
Well, they don't have that. It's just like, well, I don't want to get too much into Persona 5 right now, but it's like it's this weird thing where like the beginning of the game is very much like there's an adult preying on a child. That's messed up.
Yeah.
He's evil. And then they're like, and when this child takes on her true persona, she's in all red leather because she's reclaiming her sexuality kind of. It's like, that's a little sus. And then it's like, you can also, because spoilers for the game, like I don't want to, I'm playing it for the first time, but people, I do know that there are romance options and you can like have romance with like adults, which is weird because you're like in high school. Like if you just aged everyone up, I feel like this would be a less, I mean, it's still kind of messed up because you shouldn't be like dating your teachers, even if you're like an adult. Yeah. Like it's just a power dynamics thing, but it's like, it's just odd for the game to be like very aware of like, this is bad because it's an exploitation of power dynamics and age stuff, but also you could get with that teacher. I'm like, that's odd. This is
a weird
this
combination
is an odd
of
choice.
things.
I'm confused by what's going on. So, I too have consumed stuff that has weird stuff in it. But that's my anime history. So I consider myself an outsider who has maybe dabbled briefly. But what about you? What's your anime situation?
Yeah, no, I've watched anime for years at this point. Like you, kind of started with Toonami back in the Toonami days with like Dragon Ball Z. I'm sure I've watched like episodes of Dragon Ball, but I've never done a front to back of Dragon Ball. I can tell you that right now. But watched all of Dragon Ball Z. We used to watch like Gundam either late nights or early mornings before school when I would just catch it on. Then you got like the WB Kids stuff with like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, like those are anime as well.
Yeah, Pokemon
like,
I did watch.
Even like I don't know if Mega Man's considered an anime.
I watched a little bit. I used
to watch
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Mega Man,
but not too much.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. Anyways, yeah, no, that
Blue Eyes White Dragon.
Yeah, man, Kaiba's honestly, people I feel like don't put enough respect on Kaiba's name. Kaiba to me is like he is a top 10 antagonist that you could have. It's so good, so good. But yeah, then as I got older, started branching out more into like traditional anime manga, right, with shonen stuff, Naruto Shippuden, Bleach. Then from there really started to just gravitate towards like kind of whatever branching, right? Maybe I think I got Crunchyroll more formally like maybe like I don't know 2 years ago or something like that, and then it's just like, all right, well now the floodgates open. That was when I watched Slime. Netflix started getting anime with like I think like Baki's on there, and then Seven Deadly Sins, and
is Baki the one with someone who can be candy or something, or make candy, or something?
Baki's like a fighting.
What's the one with someone has something with sugar?
Oh, that's My Hero. That's My Hero. You're talking about the one student dude. I don't know his name. My Hero's also a really good one. That's
My Hero, right? I know it's not really visible on camera, but you have like a Deku.
Let me see if I can hold it up.
Yeah, for anyone watching the video version.
The Infinite Deku with Eri. Where if you watch this fight was so dope. But yeah, yeah, and it's kind of like went from there. Then now that we have TikTok and TikTok is a thing, I like find these like random series that show up on my For You page, and I'm like, you know what? That's where I found Frieren. I still don't know how to pronounce it. But it was like, yeah, just like a clip of it on TikTok, and I was like, oh, this looks actually pretty good. And then I went to the comments, got the name, went on Crunchyroll, saw it was there, added it to the list, and then watched it, and it was so good. It's so good. It's stupid good.
What are you watching? I feel like low-key, I know you have like your anime club with like your friends, you do like a call and stuff, but when are you watching these other ones? Is it just like
a lot of times
I'm like working and you're just
usually when you're on shows or working or something like that, yeah. I'll like be working from the couch just like out in the living room, and I'll just throw a show on. Honestly, TikTok, man, I don't know where we are with like the whole like, is TikTok gonna get banned? Is it not gonna get banned? If TikTok gets banned in the US, I'm gonna lose so much like discoverability to great content, because like that's where I found out about Reacher, the Amazon Prime show, which is fantastic. You should watch that. It's where I found out about the Equalizer movies. Like I knew of them, but I didn't know they were good until I saw like clips of them from TikTok. I find anime on there. I find music on there. I find so much stuff on TikTok. It's insane.
I do like how now you can integrate like the music straight to like your music app, like whether it's Apple
really?
Music
you
or
could,
Spotify.
Open, like, or like add to
library?
Library?
Like you can click on a song, and it says like add to Apple Music.
Oh, that's so dope.
And then it goes into like a playlist like that they already make for you of stuff. So that's really nice. So yeah, because of that, like mostly because of you, I'm like, okay, I'm down to go to Anime Expo, because then like you'll be like the expert and I'll be like there.
Yeah.
Because in my head I'm like, maybe I can like finish up Attack on Titan before, but then I didn't.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't make the time. But so we actually only went for one of the days, because we were really busy with the days are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we work. I mean, my schedule is a little more flexible because I work for myself inherently, but Isaiah has a more traditional job, so he's working. Granted, like, you know, maybe he had a little bit more time off because it is during, like, I don't know if it's always during that 4th of July weekend. But, you know, here in the States, like, that's holiday weekend. And I think more so than, to me, I feel like 10 years ago, you weren't really getting 4th of July time off. And now it feels like people are, 4th of July is just summer Thanksgiving now. People are going out of town. Like, people are really milking this 4th of July. I'm like, was it really deep for you? Like, hey, I'll take the days off. I don't care. I'll take some time off. So we just went for like the one day because, and then we were also really busy like setting up the studio, which we'll talk about in a bit. So we went one day, drove over there. How was it like set it, you know, we did what was the parking like? What was the badge pickup like?
Yeah. So for people who don't know, kind of like you mentioned before, it's at the LA Convention Center, which is just in general, there's like that block that's like the LA Convention Center, there's the Crypto Arena, there's the JW, there's the, not YouTube Theater. There's
the Grammy Museum is made on there?
The Grammy Museum, I think, is there. There's there's one other thing. It's like where all of the, like, you know, Summer Games Fest stuff kind of is somewhere over there. The Game Awards are over there. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff in that area. So it's a very popular area. We generally know it very well. This is Yard House, your classic favorite Yard House. What
That's
we do,
a joke.
yeah, for these events is we go there, we find parking. And then once you're parked there, you kind of just walk around to wherever you need to be. So we get there, it's very, very packed. There's more people walking around outside than I expected there to be. Yeah. So that already told me, like, man, we might have a hard time finding parking. But thankfully, luckily, there's the spot right by the JW. There's like a little parking garage there. We get over there, we find parking, everything's good. We start walking over. It's also hot now. Like, I don't know if people know this. I feel like LA is, I love the Bay Area. When I first moved to California, I moved to the Bay Area. And I fell in love with the weather of the Bay Area. It's cool. I run hot. So knowing that I can just bring a jacket with me and I'm going to be good regardless of day, time, anything like that, great. Here, not so much. Here
I run
in LA,
cold, so I didn't really like the weather of the Bay Area because it was always cold.
Fair.
And every neighborhood had different weather. Like, you go 2 blocks over.
But it's all just within a jacket realm of, like, fluctuation.
Yeah, I feel like you could never wear a dress in San Francisco. You'd be freezing.
But yeah, no, here it's warm. We're in like the middle of this heat wave. It's like high 80s, 90s, mid 90s. Mm-hmm. So it's just hot here, and we're walking around. I've never been to the LA Convention Center. I've been, to the area, like I said, with like the crypto arena and everything like that, but I've never actually been to the convention center. So I don't know where to go. And they're also doing like some, obviously with any event, they like block off some streets or, give people these walkways here and there. So like everything's a little bit different than what you'd normally see. Long story short, we end up like getting there and finding our way after a lot of trial and error and just like looking at the map and looking at our phone and seeing where things are. And eventually we make it inside. It took a while to get there. Well, actually, before that, we had to get our tickets, which we had to find out where the badge booth was. Yeah, like because we, like Janet mentioned, we got our badges through press. Finally got.
Yeah, how did that? How did so pass. I've been doing press credentials. I've been getting press credentialed for a number of years, definitely at least 2019, maybe earlier than 2019. I went to E3 2019 also, which is in the LA Convention Center, which I spent most of our time being like, this is where E3 used to be. Back when it existed. The event is no longer running. And I don't think it's ever going to come back, but
E3's dead.
Yeah, I think it's dead forever. It's a video game expo, I guess you could call it. And yeah, like, so I've been credentialed for, PAXs, SGF, just different events that I've gotten to go to. Even like, I got to go to that Final Fantasy concert, like Distant Worlds, and
which is also over there.
Yeah, which I mean, it wasn't like a press credential. It was like I just got a ticket as like a member of the press, but I don't want to misrepresent you, but I feel like you're, and mostly jokingly, always like kind of a little salty.
No, that's not a joke.
Okay.
That's not a joke at all. I'm always salty that when we go to these events.
Isaiah's doing this show, so he's like, no one can say I'm not pressed enough.
Yeah, no, we go to these events, we go to PAX and things like that, and Jenny gets, she's on a panel, or she's, she applied through Pen to Pixels or something, she gets her badge, and it says press on it, and she's got this little like press room that's exclusive, and I don't know, they got,
mind you, the room is like, it's got like one power strip
or something in there,
a couple like Dasani waters, and like the quietest people, which people were within there working, it's like some tables.
But my thing is, if it wasn't all of that, why is it exclusive?
Isaiah wants to peek behind the curtain. He's like, it's the teacher's lounge. I want
to be in the room where, yes, I want to go into the teacher's lounge.
It's funny because like the press credential is always separate from like, separate to some degree. Maybe it's just another kiosk or something, but it's always a little separate from like general admission. So it's like when we go to events together, it's like Isaiah goes to like the regular line, and I'm like, walk all into my little press thing. So so how did it feel? Did it feel as good as you thought it would, or is it like a lot of things in life where you're like, this doesn't feel as satisfying as it does to complain?
Man, it did not. I thought it was gonna feel, and I'm not saying that this is all the. I think I still want to. I'm still like, I don't know, looking for that like press pass feeling, because I don't think this is it. I think we because we were there like, you know, days later, or at least not the first like day of the event. We, you know, the badge line already didn't have anyone in it. We just kind of like walked up. We got our badge.
Like you want people to like
I want to feel royalty. You know what I mean? I want to feel better than, even though I'm not saying that you know, press and media people are. I'm not saying that they aren't. They're just regular people like me and you. Like,
well, here's the thing. At least you admit it, because I think a lot of people are. There's definitely plenty of hating from outside the club.
Oh yeah.
Industry. And at least you're like, I'm here to say I'm a hater.
Yeah. No, I want to feel elevated. I want to feel invited. I want to feel like they laid out a red carpet for me, even if they don't. And it doesn't mean anything. I want to feel that way, and I didn't get to feel that way at.
I think what didn't help is that they handed us our badge, but they didn't give it a lanyard with it.
We didn't even have a lanyard with it. Yeah, I'm like just carrying it around in my pocket. I couldn't even show it off. Like, yeah, I got the press badge. So, jokes aside, it was still very cool. Being able to have something now that does say press, which is really dope. Something I've been wanting. And although we still didn't even get to all of this to say, we still didn't even see the media room. Like,
oh yeah, no.
We couldn't find. I don't think we could find it. It was like
I personally wasn't looking for it, so I don't know. If you wanted to see it, we could have tried to go. Yeah, we could have went. I didn't know you wanted to, because
I wanted to at least see. Again, the whole point, I want to see like.
No, I didn't know you wanted to see. I asked you, is there something you wanted to see? And
you know what I wanted to do?
I don't think you mentioned media room.
And I think this is just the bouginess in me. What I wanted was to like have an experience where I had to show the pass. And be like, oh no, sorry, I'm press. I'm supposed to be here. Like I can do this.
You want okay? So
you know
that's why you want to go to the media room.
Yeah,
whether
that's
coverage.
A room or an entrance, like something exclusive to the pass that like I have access.
I think unfortunately, what you are feeling is the fact that it's not that glamorous to be
media. Yeah, it's crazy.
You really do just like you have a pass and like it says something different.
That's wild.
And that's kind of it. Like it's not we get like I don't know if I go like at PAX, like I don't get like to line like a separate line for like a panel if I'm viewing it. I would just but I don't want to ruin it for you. You can keep chasing that high, but you may.
What are we even here for?
You're here to do your job, which it is nice that we didn't have like big coverage requirements. I really was just going to like see what the vibes were and maybe talk about it on a podcast. So it's nice that we have this space here to talk about it. So getting into what it is, so we didn't go to any of the panels, so I don't want to necessarily say that like there's nothing there for the whatever, because there's the panels we can like learn more about stuff. They have like voice actor stuff and like things about like getting in the industry. Like if you're looking to like work in anime, they had like a cool panel that was again we didn't attend them, but I was like scoping out like the list of them across the days, and one was like working in Japan, like what would it be like to like work in Japan from like people that work overseas and stuff like that. So yeah, there's like stuff like that that's cool. So I don't want to say there's like nothing to like learn or glean from it, but I haven't gone to a lot of video game expos, and the only expos I've gone to are video game expos and running expos. And the thing that felt kind of unique, and I don't want to say odd, but that just felt like less satisfying to me about Anime Expo, and again, it's grain of salt because I'm not like a big anime fan, is it doesn't feel like there's as much to like engage with as an anime fan. Like I feel like at a PAX, obviously you're lining up and you're playing the games. So boom, you're playing the games. At a running expo, which most of our running expos are like tied to certain races. So like the really big ones will be like a marathon expo, and they have there it's like you get some freebies. You have people there about the running sports. So maybe there's people that have races that you can do. Maybe there's people like selling an electrolyte, and you can get like a taste of, maybe there's shoes you can buy and try on. Like there's still stuff to buy. It definitely is like, everything's capitalism at the end of the day, but it felt like it's more about like, you can sit in like a special massage chair and learn about like the massage chair brand, which it's all related to running. And here I feel like there wasn't as much of that kind of stuff. There is a lot of like really cool cosplays that people do. there's fan art and like artist alley and different things like that. And there's still some stuff, like a few games there too. When we saw like Metaphor Refantasia was there.
Yeah, that was cool.
Which is a new game coming out from the Persona team, which was cool, and you could play that.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't feel like, I was kind of expecting, and I don't know, maybe we just didn't go down the right path or something. I was expecting to see more like, I'll make it up, right? Like almost like in Crunchyroll was there, but more of a like, hey, like, have you heard of this anime subscription or this anime thing? Or like, I don't know, just more like, or like shows, and maybe there were some shows. Like, I thought there'd be more about like
Spy Family stuff and everything like that.
Yeah, but like, I just didn't really get the feeling of like I thought going there, I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going to be like for me to go, because I don't really know anime. Like, am I going to be like totally like out of sorts? And I felt like I wasn't, because most of it was just like, oh, I know what merch is like.
Yeah.
So what was your feeling as like an anime fan going to Anime Expo? And again, grain of salt, because we didn't do the panels. And I'm sure like most of the sauce is in the panels, but
yeah, I guess looking back, I do wish I had checked the schedule for panels a little bit more, just to see what options were even there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until like after the fact that I started looking through them and was like, oh man, we missed that, or oh man, that would have been really cool to check out. I think overall though, like, my expectations were something akin to like a PAX, where different animation studios have their booths, or this translation company has a booth, and like in my head I expected a little bit more industry expo and not necessarily consumer viewer expo. But it ended up being very much more of a viewer expo, and from what I could see, very little of like industry expo. By that I mean like you said, like every booth, like there's art. Not only is there Artist Alley, which is like a floor to itself. There's the main hall, which also has people selling merch and like talking about upcoming shows or games or this or that. But then there's a whole separate hall as well, which also has booths for like, I guess that's maybe more the like industry thing. Like I think like some translation studio booths and companies that help with like publication or animation and things like that. So yeah, I guess my expectation was more PAX, but what I got was more like fandom expo, which is cool, just not what I expected going into it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That being said, I would be down to go again, especially if we can make more time and like pick out like specific things to go to. Or like there was a Yakuza party that we were invited to that I did want to attend, but like again, we're getting into it. We were like so busy that weekend that I'm like, I'm so tired. Like I don't want to have to wait around like an extra hour to like attend this. But I do think there's some surrounding events too, related to like not directly Anime Expo, but like Anime Expo adjacent. I think some of those could be fun the same way during video game event season, which is like the summer a little bit earlier, usually in that June, previously E3 and now just SGF. There's stuff like the Mix where you can like go. So I wonder, I definitely want to give it another shot, because I don't think we got as much of a sense of what is there, but that was kind of our first sort of gleam. Definitely, especially around Artist Alley, very crowded. In the main hall, it's crowded but not as wild. And I think part of the crowds is that there isn't as much stuff you would be like sitting and doing. Like I'm used to PAX where it's like, well, there's people in line, but there's also people like sitting at stations, and like so they're kind of off of the walkway because they're sitting and playing a game. And here, there's not as many opportunities to like not just be walking around and looking at things. I mean, you can go into people's booths and stuff, and we did do that a bit. One thing that surprised me, like that I was pleasantly surprised by, is that there's artists that I follow and like that also just get booths at Anime Expo. Like the ones that I checked out were, I'll start with the one that was in Artist Alley. It was this artist whose handle is like, at least on Twitter, is @_ Baomi, BAOMII, is their handle. And I think let me try to see what their website is. Their website is similar, but then it's kind of like one of those, their site's only up sometimes. So like just look up that handle and you can see their work. And that artist was there, and they were like had a booth and they were selling stuff. I got a plush. Their plush is they have like original characters they make, and one of them is this character named Dumbii, Dumbii. It's like, what kind of animal would you describe this as? It's like
it almost looks like a Pokemon. It looks like a Mr. Mime Jr. You know?
No, don't do Dumby like that. Mr. Mime's creepy looking. I feel like it looks more like
Mime Jr.
Oh, let me look up Mr. Mime Jr. Because maybe Mr. Mime Jr. is cuter than Mr. Mime Jr. What is Mr. Mime Jr.? I mean, I kind of see what you're getting at. Yeah, there's some. It's I guess if it has to be an animal, maybe it's like a rabbit with short ears or a bear with.
Yeah, it is a rabbit. Like I can see the
with, like, short
little rabbit
ears.
ears on top, and it has like
does it have like
earmuffs
a? Let me see.
or headphones.
It has a fluffy tail, right, on the butt.
Yeah, but it also has wings. So.
Yeah, well, it's like an angel. It's kind of like a rat. It's like a bunny angel. It has like little headphones on, and the headphones have like headphone accessories that are wings, right? Like
sure.
Are these wings on the side? Yeah, and it's pink. It looks really cute. It's got a little bow, and it's just adorable. And it's also technically a keychain. It's like a large keychain, which is nice because accessorizing bags and purses has gotten really popular in the last couple of years. Isaiah, I'm sure you see a little bit of that with even just looking at Coach's stuff where they have like the chains and the extra like clips and stuff like that. Like that's very big. Yeah. So it's cool that Dumby can also like be a little keychain. And then from the same artist, I bought I did a gachapon keychain from that artist, and I got like a little red keychain that's like for a like fake chocolate brand. It's like, oh, like this is like a chocolate bar, but it's like a made up, by the artist chocolate brand. Called Milk. At least I think it's made up. It's called Milky. I don't think that's real. I think that's designed by the artist. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was what I got from that artist. And then from, I also went to Lilum's. She had a booth there, and it was like really big. And that was like on like in the main hall was the Lilum's booth, and it had like a little line, and then you could go like shop their stuff. And that art style is more of a, I would describe it as like a children's illustration style is kind of what Lilum strikes me as. Also making a lot of original characters. Like, I think the main character is called maybe like Bun or something. It's like also a rabbit. Rabbits are very big right now, basically. I forget the name offhand. The name is, I think Bun is just the name of it. There's like you can buy like a big Bun plushie, and it's like a giant version of Bun. So I bought a pen that had like Bun's head at the top. It's like a little click pen. I did not really budget for Anime Expo, so I had to try to get Classic. I had to try to be like very conservative when if I had realized like how many like cool artists show up, I definitely would have I would love to come with like good shmoney, like $100+ and just really get to buy stuff from artists. And I think especially like as I do eventually, maybe form some of those anime fandoms, it'll be cool to like buy something from, the animes that I'm interested in or whatever.
Yeah.
So I do think like the art does shine. Like if you're into art, there is like a lot there for you, I think as well, which I am. I love following like artists, and it was cool. Even if you're not looking to spend money, I did try to walk around and like the people whose art I saw that I liked, I'd take their business card and try to like give them a follow and like check out their art later after the fact, where it's okay, well, in an isolated setting, I can, do some shopping. But there's like, there's really, really cool art at Anime Expo. And that honestly, like, sort of surprised me. We went to SneakerCon. Is it called SneakerCon earlier this year?
Man.
And then also had some artists. Like, basically, the artists be slanging their stuff everywhere. So I need to keep in mind that when I go to any convention, I got to pull up with like the art money ready to go. Because I love like buying stuff from small artists, like, stickers or cute things. Like I love cute stuff, and like so many artists make like cute little things. So that's something that I want to save towards. But yeah, I wasn't expecting. I'm like, oh my gosh, like so many of my like artists that I follow on Twitter like are gonna be there. Something else that kind of like I knew this about myself, but I kind of forgot. I am like a little shy. Like I didn't talk to the artists because also like I don't know really what they look like because they don't like post their faces usually online. And I could have just asked like, hey, are you the artist? Like I love your work, but I'm like, the social anxiety, like I couldn't do it. Like I was like, I probably should say like I'd followed both these artists for like years, and like I love their stuff. Like I'm always retweeting their stuff, and like I was just like, bye. Like I was just like, then like later I got home like, oh, here's what I bought from you. Like I don't know. I did feel a little bit shy about that. I think if they had like, which I get it, they're working. A lot of them are working their booths or like getting extra people to work their booths. I also didn't really want to like. One thing I liked from like a different booth we saw, I forget the name of the artist, but they had like a separate meet and greet like window. I really like that setup because I'm like, I don't really want to like also bother you. And it's funny because like it was fun having the shoe on the other foot because it's not like I'm like wildly famous, but if I go to like a PAX or have a meetup, like people feel the same way about like coming up to me sometimes where they like don't want to do it, which I get, and I'm like, oh no, like you totally can, but I'm like, oh, now it's not so fun when the rabbit has the gun where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to talk to you, I'm scared. So maybe I'll have some more guts next year and I can just be like, hi, I'm looking for like the artist. I want to say that I like your work, but I don't know. I felt kind of awkward about that, so I was like, let me just buy my stuff and leave. Like, goodbye.
Yeah. I felt that was, I guess, one of the things too. Like my takeaways from the event is that like it felt very much like if you don't go there with money to buy stuff, you aren't really experiencing Anime Expo. Like, not that you like, I don't know, have to buy anything, but so much of it is selling merch, selling cool things that, you know, from these IPs and fandoms and stuff that you enjoy that, well, you kind of almost need to do that to like really experience Anime Expo. And I'm not someone who enjoys buying like a lot of souvenirs or you know, plushies or trinkets or whatever. Yeah, you're definitely the one who like does enjoy that. But for me, it was like, oh, I wanted to like learn about new anime coming out or like see cool posters. Maybe I'll get like a poster or something that like I can hang up as decoration, but not like full. Like there were people selling like the one booth we went to, like they were selling like clothes, like these like really dope hoodies and things like that. But it's like, oh, I didn't come here with dope hoodie money.
Yeah, like Lilum sells a hoodie that says like the dog in me, and it's a picture of a dog.
Yeah, no, it's
so
great.
Cute.
It's fantastic.
It's so good. But yeah, like I definitely think it's like a little more fun if you come with like some money to spend. Which is also like, you know, every convention is different. Like again, E3, may it rest in peace. Like that was much more of a media event that eventually had like a little bit of consumer opening up. But like part of one thing we critiqued a lot is the press. It wasn't just like the elitism of the press, of like, you know, it's like there's not really anything for the public because it's just like the lines are really long. Like they're way longer than PAX because there's not as many small booths, and then there's not much stuff to buy. Like at all at an E3. So we're like, well, it's not really like, it's not made to be consumer friendly. While this is like, I don't want to say overly made to be consumer friendly, but it leans very heavily towards like consumption. But yeah, I mean, overall, like it was like not too wild. Like it was chill-ish. Definitely a little bit more crowded than I wanted it to be, but that's also why like I hope we can go next year and do it better. Because, like, that's when we can, like, okay, we can for sure maybe go on, like, I'd love to do, like, Thursday, the show floor. Maybe you buy stuff that you really, really want. Yeah. Maybe Sunday we come back, buy stuff where it's like, hey, if maybe get a couple savings, people don't want to ship their stuff back. And then maybe the other days we can just, like, only go to, like, hey, we want to go to a, you know, like a panel or something.
This talk or something, yeah.
One tough thing, though, about it, too, is, like, while the passes, you know, if we get credentialed, we inherently don't have to pay for the passes. If we're going down there all the time to park, like the parking, you spend like $50 on parking, right?
Yeah, the parking.
Because they upcharge on the lot. Because they know.
Like, oh, it's $50.
Because it used to not be. Last time you parked there, it wasn't 50. It was
like, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks, which isn't, you know, that drastic of a jump. That's 200%. That's twice as much.
Yeah. And like we can like take transit, but it's pretty long to get, you know, we're up in the valley. So like LA Transit, it takes. It's like not very good. Like it's gotten better, and especially like just going downtown, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, that's something we could maybe play by ear. I probably would if we were checking out multiple days. I think financially, maybe it makes sense to try to like just do a little thing. You know, we can also like lean in the opposite direction and like make it more of like a real weekend where it's like, oh, we get a hotel, we like hang out with almost like a staycation.
Sure.
Is also an option for us too. Again, it's not like it's that far, but it's really the parking. If we had like free parking, oh yeah, sure, show up as much as you want. We can make, you know, I definitely think it'd be fun too to like just do more content. We kind of went to Anime Expo like scoping out what maybe the content could be. It was more of like a prequel to us attending for real. Like I would count this as us attending, but it was so brief that I'm not ready to like really have like a big thing to say about it. But yeah, I would be interested to go back, and hopefully by then I have some more anime under my belt or
I think
some more cards in my, I forgot the name of that sleeve Yu-Gi-Oh wears.
The dual deck.
The dual deck.
I think
I would touch parent.
I think scoping out and seeing like what Anime Expo, because this is the first time either of us have went. I think saying that this is like a scope out, seeing what it's about, seeing what it's like, and then like preparing, using what we learned this year to prepare and be better next year is like the perfect way to put it.
Yeah. I'd be down to, even though, again, I might not know all the characters because my anime expertise is not as big, I would be interested if we had time to go to, like, some of the like cosplay shows they have like competitions and stuff, because I love seeing people's cosplays. I think that could be a fun, and then we're sitting down for that, so I'm like, okay, kind of a little break, like a chill thing would be good. So cool. All right, let's close out by talking about the studio a little bit, which is also why we weren't at Anime Expo that long.
Why we only went to Anime Expo for
like
one day.
Honestly, we probably would have went a lot more if it wasn't such a busy time. We had been out of town the weekend before. We came back to LA, and I guess like I'm gonna toss it to you, because I barely even remember how this conversation started on like what we ended up creating in over the span of like really like 7 to 10 days or something. Pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's a little foggy for me too, just because everything happened so quickly. I think so we were out of town. We were in SF for the weekend. We came back that Sunday. And I think during the drive and everything, we talked about like, oh, it'd be cool if, man, like what if we had like a separate like studio space? Like, oh, like what if we like rework things so that we could do our shows together, or we could like do the show here that we're recording now. Like, I can help you more, be almost like your Barrett, and like, the man in the chair producing and helping and everything like that. We just kind of like talked more and more about it. And then I think on the drive back, once we got home on Sunday, I like started looking up like office spaces that we could rent in the area, and we found one. It was like, hey, like, do you want to go check out this like office space tomorrow? Like, they said we can come by. We went, we looked, and like that's when it became real. That's when it was like, okay, no, we're gonna do something.
Yeah,
we just don't know.
I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah, like we're committing to changing something, because the idea was so good. One of the things that we really wanted, or one of the problems that we really faced, is that because in our apartment, it's a 2-bedroom apartment, one was effectively just your office, and then the other was like our bedroom / my office. And I think while that worked for, the year or so that we've been here, I think the thing that we really wanted more was like a separation from spaces, where it's like every room in the apartment was an office. It was either your office or my office. And also each room was also kind of a bedroom, where like either your clothes are there or my clothes are there and things like that. Like, it was like we were living across 2 different rooms, as opposed to
it was
having
like
a separation.
We were like almost too like and I don't want this to sound more dramatic than I mean it, but almost like we were like also roommates in a way.
Yeah,
where it's
no, for sure.
And not like in a like we hung out like all the time still. It's not like I was just in here, like, because you would come into my office a lot and like work from my office already, like sit in the chair that I wasn't like using.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I think we're both like kitchen work people.
Sure.
Like we'll sit at the dining table and like work on stuff together. But yeah, I didn't really realize that's what we had accidentally made until like I started thinking about it, where it's like, instead of making like the pro of a 2-bedroom is like you have an extra bedroom, but we kind of just split. It's like, instead of having a bedroom and an office, what if we had 2 bedrooms and 2 offices? And it's like, well, you kind of just have a bad version. It's like it's like why like the 2-in-1 shampoo doesn't work as well. It's like you kind of just so we have 2 2-in-1 shampoos. It's like, why do you have 2 2-in-1 shampoos?
Yeah.
And then the problems that I was facing, and I've complained to you a lot about how my office was set up, and like, again, shout out to you for even just letting me have my own office to begin with, because like I was really like, why? I'm like, you should just put both our desks in here. And because before this, we lived in like a different apartment with my family, and we had one really big bedroom. It was really big, but we had our bedroom and both of our desks to basically create. It was a bedroom office. So it was definitely a huge room to even fit. Like, we have like these really big, like the uplift / what do we have? Jarvis? You have Jarvis, right?
Yeah, I have Jarvis. We
have those huge standing desks. So like it was a tight space for sure on how we like configured everything, but we made it work, and that's what our limitations to the space. And because I do so much content for work, and again, Isaiah's work is inherently like off camera work, not outside of like, a meeting where you put your camera on.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, well, it just makes sense for you to have the separate space. But the problem is, I didn't really make it that well. I made it to fit like all my stuff, So, and like at the time, it didn't seem bad. Like, because I think if you thought it was a bad idea, you would have been like, this is a bad idea. But you're like, oh yeah, sure. Like, put your desk in there. You put and then I think I evolved over time too, where I had a desk set up where I would do like my podcast from with like my other companies I worked with, and then I had like I kind of created this additional space of like, what if we had like a nice studio, quote unquote, kind of setup. And that setup was like a TV on a Calyx, like a 4x2 Calyx. And then like I had this kind of folding comfy chair that I got for free from the guy who makes it. It's like the folding gaming chair company. I might be lightly butchering that. And so, okay, I put that there. And then I got like a like a fold out table from like Walmart. And then it came with like 2 chairs. I'm like, in case I need some metal folding chairs to like uncomfortably sit on, we can have that. And I had like an old butterfly dorm chair. It was very like cheaply made, but that wasn't even the main issue with it. It was honestly like the number one problem I had in that space was because I had my desk next to that TV. It was a lot of running short cables, and so the cables would kind of create like almost like a maze snapping effect where you would have to like carefully like leg over, like when you left to go to the bathroom, you'd have to like go all the way around, and then like as you walked out, cover the webcam so it's not just a full shot of your ass like an up close ass shot. And the lighting I had was also like, you know, a more affordable setup and a more starter setup. So it was like the Elgato makes a lot of like, hey, we're making stuff for streamers. It's like affordable and easy to set up, and has the app. Again, like, you know, no shade to Elgato. I've used their products for years and years. We're still using Elgato, you know, for the capture card. But the lighting wasn't as good. It wasn't as vast, and it was hot. It was so hot. And it was hard to like light myself well. And then especially when I tried to stretch it out, it's like, okay, I have to unplug the light from this desk and then put it here. And it was just like, it was unpleasant. It was unpleasant to set up. It was unpleasant to be in. Not to mention because my clothes were in the closet. It's like when I would put the laundry away, I'd come in, like after I showered, I'd walk into like my studio to get dressed. And it's like, okay, that's kind of weird. And then on the other side, okay, if I walk into our bedroom to get dressed, well, Isaiah works there. So like, well, are you on a call? Like, oh, let me kind of, I just felt like I was walking in on, it was just bad. I was kind of walking in on everybody. Like it was just a not, it wasn't good. It's not like the whole time was bad, but it kind of really became like, and you know, you did stuff to make it better. Like you added that pegboard to like dress up the background so it looked less bad, which was this, you know, that we have in the background that's colored, but it was like brown before and like linked together. So there were definitely attempts to like, we made versions of this, but finally it's like, okay, this needs to change. We need to make this better. And I guess like you know, if you want to talk more about like what looking at that office space was like and how we ultimately ended up back at home.
No, one of the things we like I said, we looked at the office space. We went by there. Shout out to Eli, who was I'm assuming he's the property manager for the office space. And Mark, who actually showed it to us.
Rocking with Mark.
Mark's rocking with us. The space was dope. It was like a 2-room kind of setup where it was almost like you can almost think of it like a converted motel kind of layout where it's like to the parking area there, each office has like a door that faces the parking area, and then in the units are like kind of like one after the other, and there's 2 rows. There's like a first floor and a second floor with like one shared bathroom kind of at the end of the hall for everyone. And the rooms that we were looking at was one where you walk in and it's kind of what would be like the producer room. There's like, they even have the unit we were looking at in particular even had like a little like glass window into what would be the main studio area, which is really dope.
It's
I
like
think
that window,
I think that layout would have been ideal because then you really do like isolate the talent, right? Like you have less worry about like audio of the machine, fans whirling up and then getting caught on camera, or be able to pad that room really well and reduce echo and all that jazz. And the price was fine.
Yeah.
I think it was like a 300 square foot kind of space, and it was like I think like $3 square foot. So it was like around $900 a month for the office space, and it includes most utilities except for internet, which would have been like another 100, 150, something like that. So for $1,000, right? The thing is, for $1,000, we would have still had to get equipment to bring into the space. Like the $1,000 a month would have only been just for the rent and internet. And it's like, well, at that point, if we're going to get the equipment already and everything like that, like, why don't we just rearrange the room we have at home and like make it so that like we just save $1,000 every month.
Yeah, though I guess you can really say we're saving
the girl math is like, oh, we saved $1,000.
Yeah, we just saved $1,000 a month. I think the other layer too is, and this is not like because I think I really genuinely feel like we both like decided on staying here, because the other thing too is that office was really hot and they said it could get cooled down, but I'm suspicious.
They said it had an AC unit.
I'm suspicious on how cool it could get down a little bit. I still was down for it, but I was worried that it would be really hot in there.
That's fair.
Also, too, we would have to get a couple things that we don't need here. Like, we'd have to get, like, a mini fridge just to have like a space for our lunches and some drinks. We probably want to get a little coffee maker, and that's not taking up a lot of square footage. But when you don't have that much, it's like
anything
also,
takes up.
That's another expense, and also another thing, like how loud that mini fridge is gonna be. I don't know. So, and the other thing that really solidified what we ended up doing for me was, okay, sure, it's a lot of money, but we can also, we have a 2-bedroom here, and I've looked around, we can find that savings, or at least close, maybe not the full 1,000, but we could definitely pay less for like a smaller place,
Sure.
So that was another thing where I'm like, one of my ideas was, okay, if we get this office space, we should probably downsize. And you weren't as much of a fan of like downsize, which makes sense because we're like eventually want to get a house. That would be the dream. TBD on that. The market's terrible. Life's hard. But it was that feeling of like, well, not only do we have to now build the studio, but we also like not have to move, but like it would make fiscal sense to move, because if we're not using this room, what is the point? It's not like we're, obviously we could make it work, but it's not like we're like, what I want to spend $1,000 extra a month. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure.
Because, again, everything that we like, the classic YNAB and the budget of every dollar you spend is a dollar you're not spending somewhere else. So it's like, it just didn't really make sense to do that downsizing. So then it's like, okay, well, if we really want to keep this place, hopefully like prices stay the same here and all that, we should just redo this room. And they're around the same size too, is the thing. And not to mention there's other cons of like, it is kind of nice to, if you have guests over, to like have them not be like at your house in a way. But at the same time, it's like, now we got to use that like bathroom. We got to come over here. It's kind of nice to go over somewhere because then you're not at home. You do have to commute over there, which is not that far, but it's like
far enough that it's like, all right.
Yeah, like
it's not next door.
Yeah, it being somewhere else is both a pro and a con, because it's like, oh cool, I'm not working at my house, but then it's also like, well, I'm not working at my house, so it's like, you lose some of those comforts. So like, ultimately we're like, what if we just totally redid this space? So we emptied everything out, like,
Took the desks out, the calyxes.
Yeah, it was empty. It was an empty room.
Bare room.
Yeah. Like we're starting over.
Yeah.
Forget everything you knew and throw everything away. Almost not everything, but like
And the thing too is that also when we decided to do this, which was like, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah. Like Monday we saw the space. Tuesday we were like, I think let's just stick to what we the space we have, and now we just got to find things to put in it.
Yeah. Wednesday, we hit the ground running. Yeah. Like, we emptied the apartment or the room. We went and got like furniture, like these chairs and couch that we're sitting in right now, the table. Like, we went to like a little furniture store. We went to IKEA. We got some stuff. We, took the boards down, the old, like, the pegboards as they were. We took those down and got like paint and like more wood to like kind of make these like 3 different panels and everything. Like, we hit the ground running immediately.
Yeah.
We went on Amazon. We got some of the equipment. I think we got the camera that day as well.
Nah, you're like mixing up days, but that's
no,
fine.
We did all that Wednesday because they're closed Thursday.
Oh yeah, we did. So we did the furniture, the film store, and IKEA on Wednesday. The boards and the painting was like a little bit later.
But we got the paint
on Wednesday. I think
so. Yeah, because we went to Target. That was when we got the tennis balls and everything.
But not the paint. The paint we got at Home Depot or
the Lowe's, which is in that plaza. Yeah. We did all of that on
no
Wednesday.
Way.
Wednesday was a very long day.
I feel like some of that was Thursday, but maybe you're right. Either way, it was very fast. Like, we bought everything we needed within the span of like literally like 2 days, 1 to 2 days, and then just every day we were just I guess you're right, because we really did just start working on it, and then and that's why it's like, okay, Thursday, like we did some stuff, like like Edwin came over and we hung out with him, and then like Friday I ended up going to like do a gig outside the house while you were working on it, and then Saturday we had Anime Expo, so then Sunday was the only full day like I had where I was like, okay.
Yeah. That was the day where like we finalized like.
Yeah, by Monday I did a little, like I did a meeting in here, nothing crazy, and then by Tuesday I was recording content here, and today is Saturday.
So in like 5-6 days we did a complete turnaround on. It was
basically like the extreme studio makeover is basically what we did.
We queer-eyed ourselves into a better studio.
Yeah. And I think it looks really good.
I think it looks really. You tell us in the comments down below for the video viewers. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, but if you say it looks bad, I'm going to delete it. But I'm just
yeah. Don't say anything if it's negative. Only say how good it looks.
I guess like you're welcome to give constructive feedback if you're like, oh, I don't know, you want different colors in the background, whatever. But like, yeah, like it looks really good, and it looks like a totally different space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you? Are you? I feel like, as we kind of unveil who we are on this show, like my perspective on you is that you are not necessarily a perfectionist, but you're like really close to being a perfectionist. And I think like for me, especially like what I was talking about on my stream like the other day is like I have like this, when you started with content creation, you're often like starting from like the gutter. So if we only got a new camera, I'd be like, this is Christmas for me.
Sure.
Like, and I would be genuinely like, that's enough for me. Like we can kind of, but the fact that we got all this at once, I'm like, yeah, no, there's nothing to complain about. Everything is perfect. And then you're like, and what if we add this? I'm like, it's even better. It got above perfect. Like that's genuinely how I feel about it. But I think you're a little harder to satisfy in that regard. So how do you feel about it now that we're pretty much done? We're doing little things here and there, but it's pretty done. Getting to get some clamps to like tilt the lights down, but
I mean, overall, I feel really, really happy. I think the space, I think it looks good on camera. I think functionally, there's still a couple things we got to do, right? Like, we're still waiting for like 1 or 2 more orders from Amazon for like a wireless keyboard and mouse.
Duct taping the chair you're sitting in.
Taping the chair that we're sitting in is completely in tatters already. Some angle bracket things for the lights, just to like make like it's like a little things that is not stopping content from being made. It doesn't stop us from
except for that wireless keyboard to come in.
That's gonna be nice. It's more like, okay, these like last little finishing touches to like really make it function better. Like the content I think is good. It's just like, all right, now we gotta like function a little bit better, right? Like figure out, and a lot of this is gonna be just trial and error over time, right? Like the console setup, right? Where it's like, okay, like right now we have a slot for a Switch, a slot for a PlayStation or Xbox, kind of like whatever you want. But like where it isn't an ideal place because it's kind of in the walkway between sitting here and then getting to the producer chair.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, can we make that better? Can we like figure out either somewhere to put the console or somewhere to put the stand or something? Like it's gonna be like little like fixes over time, as well as like technical stuff, right? Like I've heard it here already, and just like me monitoring the show, we talked about a little bit during your stream yesterday, where it's like, oh, there's like these like random weird like robotic feedbacks that are coming into the mics. I don't know, maybe we end up doing a better audio solution than, I don't know, running USB mics. Maybe we switch to analog, like get a
with
little
lavs.
A lab or something, right? Like, who knows? But I think as of right now, everything is good enough. I think it looks good. I think it works well. And I'm really happy with it. Yeah. I still want my 3 camera shot to be. I was really gunning for the 3 camera setup, just to be able to like cut into each one of us as we're talking.
I can't
and things
imagine.
Like that.
I mean, I know how much like this camera was or whatever. I'm like 2 more. I'm like, no way, no freaking way.
Which is why we didn't get it.
Yeah, and then it's like you could have 2 worse cameras, but then I'm like, well, that's just gonna look kind of weird. Yeah. Like know. The 3 camera shot's gonna be really fun to eventually get, but I'm like, we're mostly 2 people. I know we're gonna sometimes bring on the other people, but like like I'm really happy with it, and I feel like it. And to be honest, like for me and my workflow, like I've been working from home to varying degrees since like honestly like 2018, 2017, because I started freelancing in the industry, did work in office for a bit, but like then the pandemic hit. So like I've been working at home for a really long time, and I don't have a big problem with working at home, and I think work from home is like an incredible option for workers, especially if you work a job that is, I don't know, more traditional. Like I think a lot of working in the office is like, okay, if you're done early, like make sure you look busy. Like, and I really don't like that about office culture and work culture in general. And then obviously freedom to live different places. Like I think work from home as a movement is generally very good, at least as an option, if nothing else. But I will say I am enjoying like so many things about the studio, and maybe it's just the newness of it. So admittedly, like we'll have to check back in a year from now if like, hey, did the magic kind of fade a little bit, like once you got used to it? But not just the newness of like having all these new toys to play with, where it's like I feel really excited to make content because like I have new stuff to make content with, but also like it also looks better, which is really cool. And then that extra third layer for me is, while we are still in our apartment, there's no secret about that. It's clearly our apartment. We leave the door open, our cat's gonna walk in. Like this is an apartment. We're not an apartment, but it feels so studio. And it's not full of like kind of the creature comforts. And I was talking about this with one of my colleagues where like, he was saying like, oh, for a home office though, you want it to be like kind of cozy and have like that nice feel. I actually like, and maybe I'm just sick. Like I love stuff, so I like making stuff cozy and cute. But I'm like, I want a layer of sterility because it'll make me feel like I'm working. Like I want to. It's kind of like when we're big at going to the library these days.
Yeah.
And you go, and the library is a fun vibe. Libraries can be really beautiful and cozy because they're full of books. But it's like I'm at a desk.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I didn't decorate it. I'm here to work, and then I get out. And I like that about this, where I'm not like looking at all my favorite, plushies all the time or all my stuff. I look and I sit down and I'm at the desk and that's like I'm cooking, like I'm working, I'm focused. And then I leave and I can do other stuff like into the apartment, like I feel like too, so many of my chores kind of bled into here.
Sure.
Like where it's like, sometimes I would fold laundry in here and put laundry away. Like laundry doesn't come in here. Like it might be in our room. It might be in the kitchen when I'm like folding or something, or, whatever. But like this is a work sacred space.
Yes.
And it feels good. And then now our bedroom, even though I really want to hang out in our bedroom more and just like chill in there, because now it's like, oh, it's just a bedroom.
It's just a bedroom, yeah.
And now your webcam light doesn't bleed into my eye when we sleep and stuff. I'm wearing an eye mask now, but
I mean, when we first started dating, before we started dating, I had joined team no TV in the bedroom, and I still stand by that. And I think now, like,
I've converted to no TV in the bedroom.
Now that we've separated the office from the room enough now that it's like,
part of me does think about like a nice bougie little projector. It could be fun. Like one day, not now. I think I do like having this up, and also I'm not in there a lot, so there's no point really. But I do think it could be fun. In the future, I feel like our bedroom's still very stuffed and stuff. So but
yeah, so I think the separation we get from this, as well as the like the modularity of this space.
No, it really is. Yeah, like, it's quick to like do it.
Lends itself well, yeah.
Like you can just slide, for the like we have like the setup. It's like a one shot, like a straight to cam, and we have like an armchair and then like a 2-seat sofa, like a little bigger than a love seat because it's like you can sit pretty comfortably, but it's not like a full, it's a 2-person seat. And then like a little coffee table, and I do have like a cheap IKEA standing desk. Like it's not motorized, you kind of just lift it up, but like that's there for if I ever want to like work on emails or something, and Isaiah's like sitting at the producer desk like just working on his day job or coding or doing whatever like in between like doing content. And that has its like own chair. Though honestly, I haven't like really used it at all yet. It's kind of just a dumping ground for stuff, which is also kind of useful to have, to be honest.
Yeah, somewhere to put your laptop while you're on a show or something,
Yeah, but it's so like because it doesn't have that many items in it. Like again, there's like there's 3 lights, 2 TVs, the camera, the desk, like the chairs, the coffee table, and then like the 3 panels. That's like 13 items, pretty much. I mean, there's like a plant 214 or whatever. So there's not like, it's just easy to move stuff around because there's not like things there's not as much tripping over.
Yes.
There's not as much bumping into things.
Yes.
I can like even like setting up these boards, like putting stuff on the pegboards today. The only thing I regretted was like I wish I did this yesterday where I just moved all the sofas out and just walked up to it. But other than that, like it's like, oh, I can easily like move everything around. It's just so it makes it easier to clean up, and because it's so isolated, if I leave it a little messy, I'm like, that's cool. In the morning I can quickly clean it, turn it over, like it's just so much better than what we had before. And I wish I had a good before and after shot, but I don't think I really do. I have to dig for photos of my office before, but
yeah. And on that, I think like even with us utilizing the space, we have also come up with like there are things that systems that we can implement to make it even easier and even better, where it's like most of the content that probably will be made in here is like you on shows or you doing like solo one-up shots with like you streaming or something like that. And it's like, well, we can like default the space to that setup so that even though it is easy to move things around and stuff, like you just inherently don't have to as much because it's like going to be just set up for that.
Yeah.
And then when I'm coming into a shot, we're recording a Gangcast episode or something like that. It's like, all right, we move things around, we set things up, put little decorations or whatever it is we want for that episode, and then hit record. And
I
it's
think
like,
too,
all right, everything's set.
Something I just thought of now because I'm like, oh, I know we want to do some Let's Plays together. Like you can probably just sit on this sofa. We can just move this sofa and move the armchair out of the shot. Because I always would think about like it just being this again.
Sure.
It's like really we can just do that, and then we have like a little black side table that we can use too. Because then it can be dead on with this. And then it's almost replicating that same shop, but now there's 2 people.
Yeah.
And then it's like easy for 3 too. It's just, there's
It's just good.
It's just so good. It's just so good. It was so hard having like shout out to everyone who's like worked with me before in person in my home, because it's always been like Eddie back when he was at like my desk that was in my bedroom that also had the desk. Like he was, Edwin coming through on the stream. My colleague Michael Huber coming by for like Resident Evil 1. Like those were also like sweaty and tight setups.
Do you remember what it was that Eddie was over for? I
Outer
tried
Wilds.
to find it. I thought that, but was it? It must have just been a stream, not.
Yeah,
YouTube.
I don't think I was VODing my stuff as actively
gotcha.
back then, unfortunately, which is a bummer because we lost my. We don't have my whole Demon Souls playthrough. There were so many funny things from that, and I like never saved it. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
Well, we won't run into that anymore.
No, I'll just be uploading VODs, but I was kind of lazy with that. I'm like, I'll just get to that some other day. All right. Well, at some point I do want to, we'll do some type of stream or video, like walking in and showing off like the space for a more video format for building the studio. But yeah, just a couple work from home people losing their minds and rebuilding everything with the holiday weekend. So like shout out to the 4th of July for the freedom of the studio that it gave. Because that's basically why we were able to work on it so much too over the week.
No, legit.
The work week. Because like I had a break from shows too. So I was like, well, I don't have to be live until like
to do it.
Tuesday. Let's just rip all the floorboards out. and it was really fun. But all right, that does it for this episode. You can write into the. Did you ever get the Gmail for that?
Inbox.
Sure.
We can do whatever we want.
Well, what are we doing so that I can read it? Inbox. Okay. Yeah. You can write into the show with questions and topics at inbox@gamesandnotgames.com. That's inbox@gamesandnotgames.com. Sports for the future. Thinking of basically using this for like, topics for the show. So if it's games or not games, let us know what y'all have to say. You can follow the podcast version of this show, hopefully everywhere. But I gotta be honest, we don't really know yet because we have yet to, get it uploaded. Obviously, the goal is going to be everywhere podcasts are available, but that might take a little time because I know it takes a while for Apple specifically to approve of podcast feeds. And you can get the video version on YouTube at Games and Not Games. Check us out also on twitch.tv/games and not games, where I'm hoping that Isaiah will play more Overcooked with me at some point. And last but not least, give us a follow on social media. We're at Twitter at the handle Games and Not, and we're everywhere else at Games and Not Games. That's Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. That's it for this week.
Where can they follow you?
You can follow me under the handle Gameonesis across every platform. Twitch, YouTube, Patreon, and you can read my work on pen2pixels.com. What about you?
I'm Isaiah Bydayah. First name Bydayah. Spelling it out is terrible. I don't like it anymore. But it's the handle I have, and it's what I'm going to stick with. Isaiah Bydayah everywhere. If you want to see some of the stuff that I make, head over to photomode.io. That's a social site that I make, and have plans to upgrade. Shout out Maddie, who's helping me with some content right now. You can upload, it's like Instagram for video games. So if you are someone who's in games, you take a lot of photos, or if there's just like some dope moments that you like captured at some point, go to that site, make an account for free, upload them, share them. More stuff that I'm trying to add to it, but for now, I think that's a really solid one.
All right, and Isaiah, you can say our classic sign-off phrase.
Yippee! I don't know. We don't have one yet. Write in with suggestions on a good sign-off as well.
All right, bye.
See ya.